Her smile shines as bright as the stars at night. Her heart is as kind as can be. She has the patience of a saint, but if you push her, oh Lordy. A straight talker is smiley. She's the salt of the earth. Make no mistake, she matters. Catch Smiley's story on a live stream. Oh boy, that girl can matter. Go Smiley. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. Missing posters and stories of heartache and fear. She tells us all of the heartbreaking tears. She can sniff out the guilty from a mile away. If Smiley's on the case, then she's here to stay. She cares about these missing children. She cares deeply about them all. She speaks the truth with integrity. For the truth, she will seek it all. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. Smiley's questions are like a heat-seeking missile. She's going straight for the bullseye. Don't ever believe you can fool her. She's too wise, man, she won't comply. She values freedom like the 4th of July. She values respect even more. If you want to earn a place at Smiley's table, watch the clock, it takes time for sure. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you break her trust, you're done for. Trust don't grow back like grass. So don't give Smiley a reason to doubt you, or that friendship will shatter like glass. She's a damn good woman, that much we know. She puts in the hours to bring them kids home. If your child is missing, you want Smiley on the case. She is always willing and she gives so much grace. She's a Smiley, alright. She's a Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you're guilty, you better feel fear.
Hello, everybody. H. Davis, you are number one today. Hello, Sharon. Hello, good to see you. Blessings to you. Thank you for being here. It's Monday, November 24th, 2025. So happy Monday to everyone. Happy Monday. How's everything going so far? Mondays is always a kind of day. Just one of those kind of days that's crazy. I know I had to go to the doctor this morning, and I got surgery now set up for December 12th. Oh, so that's how my Monday's gone so far. So I'm going to try to cram as much of this in as I can and get my stuff done. And we're going to dig deep into this. Today is my auntie's birthday. Well, happy birthday to your aunt. Happy birthday to her. Tell her Smiley Stories World said happy birthday, and I hope she has a blessed, fun, beautiful, beautiful day. And anybody else that has a birthday out there, happy birthday to you all. We all just need to be thankful and happy we're all here and alive and can see another day and another birthday, and be grateful for that, right? So yesterday we talked about Israel Keys, and he was the most deadliest serial killer ever recorded in history. There is a lot with this story, a lot. And if you didn't see my very first one, go back and watch that one. And then we did a part 1 interrogation last night. That was 4 or 5 hours long. I don't even know. He played a lot of games with them. And so today we're kind of just going to finish up the interrogation part. But as I was still researching last night and still looking, there is so much more to go over on him. And I am going to do it. I'm going to do it. We have a lot of interviews with different people and a lot of things going on. And I just thought that it would be very interesting. So I have been going over this story since yesterday. And again, you should start with my first live on this yesterday. Then I did a part 1. So if you want or feel like it, go over that. That was a pretty long one. 4 hours. It was 4 hours, H. Davis said. Sure was. Because it was long. It was long, honey. Come to find out, when he's given these interviews, it's over a month or so's time, but they crammed it all into a 6-hour interview. And it's, man, he plays some serious games. It's crazy. But I'm going to go over the rest of this interrogation here today. I think it's very important to understand. And however, tonight we're going to go over some other important things and some interviews that I found. I even tried to watch one of the shows, you know, on him last night, or the documentaries or whatever it is. It was on my Apple phone, and I got that. But I want to clear something up, because I am still a little confused, but I take accountability if I'm wrong. And I still don't know if I'm wrong, because I'm still trying to research this. It's just kind of hard. I want to clear something up. So yesterday, I know I said there was no interviews with the baby's mother. I still stand by that from what I can find. However, I'm saying now I could be wrong. But the interview that we will go over later this evening and later on, and the one that I found, my research is telling me that is possibly just a girlfriend of his and not the baby's mother. But there is some confusion there. I don't know. You do your own research and, you know, that type of thing. So I want to correct myself if I'm wrong. Don't hold my foot to the fire on that. But from what I am understanding, on all accounts, his daughter's mom has not spoke. Again, I could be wrong. This has been since 2012, so anything's liable to have happened, you know, in between time and in the meantime. Either way, we're going to go over it all, and you'll get to see those, as well as some other interviews and some things that I found But in this one, we're going to finish up the interrogation part. And also, this is just for information, education, commentary. It's on research and all the things that's already out there in the public. This is not intended to hurt anyone or any families. Let me just be crystal clear on that. So we know Israel, he was born January 7th, 1978. And for those that don't know, he led a huge, huge double life, right? Thank you. He led a huge double life, and he was not a good man. He was not a good man at all. He fooled everybody that he ever come in contact with. And, you know, he was not only a serial unaliver, he was a bank robber. He did burglaries. He set fires. You know, he did the kidnappings, and he RAPD all these people. And I say people because it could have been men, women. He did not care. Okay. He got away with all of this for so many years. And he studied the police. He wanted to make sure he didn't get caught. He was in the military, and he got an honorable discharge and from the military, and he worked hard, and he had his own business, which was a construction company, and he had a young child, a little girl, and, you know, so he had a house, a girlfriend, you know, he had all these things. And he was so worried about his image getting out of his double life and what he had did. He didn't want that to affect his child. He's psycho. Psycho. Do you hear me? But he told the police, he told them, he took Samantha. Samantha was his last victim. She was his last victim in Alaska. And I want y'all to listen to this because he told them, he took his last victim home to his house after taking her from that coffee shop, her first job. She was 18 years old. She never thought going to work. She was not going home, going to her family, her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was supposed to pick her up. She did nothing wrong. She was an innocent young girl, a victim of everything. And so she waited on him, turned around, and had her hands up. We saw the videos of that or whatever. But he took her to his home. I want y'all to hear that. And he not only done horrible things to her, and he killed her, okay? Let me tell you what he does next. He wakes up his girlfriend and his child, his young daughter, and in the meantime, he froze Samantha's body, okay? And then he and his family, them unknowingly, okay, of course, because they had nothing to do with this. Hey, Brianna, good to see you. He goes on a cruise for like 2 weeks later. He comes back, okay, and he thaws out this young 18-year-old girl, Samantha. Now, this might be triggering. I guess my mods are still sleeping today. I don't know. But anyway, I would put a triggering in there, but I'm just warning you, okay? This could be triggering. He put makeup after he thaws her out. He puts makeup on her. And he tells the police that he braided her hair just like he did his own child's hair. How pathetically sick is that? So he also props her up, he sews her eyelids open so people think she's alive. He puts a newspaper with that date on it, and he sends it to her boyfriend. He demands a ransom from her family, which is, he don't have a set MO, so this is something new he's just decided he wanted to do. But thank God this gets him caught. So the police knew he wasn't alive, but she wasn't alive. But let me tell you, all about the braiding and the makeup and the freezing her and the going on. Israel, hey, where the wind blows, he is a freak. And guess what? Israel told the cops, the detectives, all of this. Guess for what? For a freaking Snickers bar, a cigar, and a coffee. Really? Wow. He must have really wanted that Snickers bar. Sick. Sick. They say it was sickening to sit there with him, and he was a psychopath. The one cop said, we've heard of psychopaths. We throw around the word psychopath, but he was the real deal. And I believe them. I believe them. He definitely was a psychopath. He was very evil at that. I just can't even imagine. It gets worse. He then, after he took her photo for ransom and all that stuff, he dismembers her body. That beautiful girl, Samantha, 18. And he allegedly, no, not allegedly, that's a fact. It's out there because police found her. He dismembered her body, and then he put her in a lake. But what he did was even more sick. He put her in a lake. While he was fishing at that same lake, they asked him, did you catch any fish? He said yes. He took the fish home to his family for them to eat, feeding his family the fish out of the same water while he sat there and threw Samantha's body in that lake. How sick is that? If that don't turn your stomach, I don't know what will. Makes me never want to eat seafood again. Seriously. Her family was devastated. Her father, James, that was his only daughter. And he's the one that kept pressure on everybody to find her. But so then he goes on this little spree. He decides he's going to use her credit cards and her bank account and all of her stuff. And, they ended up, as you know, long story short, they ended up catching him, pulling him over and catching him. Now we're at the interrogation. And at this point, he gives them the runaround. Long story short, because it was a long story. And he thinks he's running the show. And basically he is. He basically is. But you're going to see, he does tell them he wants the death penalty, okay? And as you've seen last night, he said many times, he gave plenty of hints and 1,000,001 red flags that he was not going to be here. He was going to unalive himself. And I don't blame them for not giving a shit. They just wanted the information. Now, of course, they're officers of the court. I don't know if they could ever, come out and exactly say that, but I'm just saying there were so many red flags. They have come out and said they were definitely trying to build rapport and give answers. But he said a million times in a million different ways and a million different red flags, he was not going to be around. He wasn't lying about that. Through all the signs of taking his own life, which he ended up doing, which we'll get into that later and later and later, which y'all all know that. He says he wants to get the death penalty. He wants the execution, and he wants it done as soon as possible. And they're trying to get all the information, right? They're trying to get everything out of him, and they're trying to build this rapport with him and trust. So some will see sometimes they're laughing with him. Oh, he has this creepy laugh if you didn't see and you're just coming in. But they're trying to build a rapport with him. They're trying to give him his coffee, his Snickers bars, whatever it is, his cigars. He likes cigars. They're trying to build a rapport and a strategy. But he is steady jerking them around. He's steady playing games, and he tells them he don't want to play all of his cards. He don't want to give up all of his leverage. He knows if he gives up all of his leverage, he ain't got nothing to come out of that jail cell with and sit up and be chummy and try to keep this out of the media. He don't want his name in the media because, he didn't want his double life exposed. He didn't want his child exposed. Go figure. Which, thank God. I mean, that's probably the only living decent thing he's ever done. At least said, no matter if he meant it or not. But the problem is they didn't have a death penalty in Alaska. A lot of people don't know that. So they're just trying hard to get information from him for other crimes. And that's why they're trying so hard for the crimes in Vermont. Because that's where the couriers, if I'm not mistaken, I think the lady was 55 years old and the man was, I think he was younger. I think he was 45 or vice versa. I don't know. It don't matter. He took both of their lives and they were a couple. See, to Israel, he didn't matter. It didn't matter to him if it was young, old couples, male, female, prostitute. It didn't matter. And he admitted, hey, I would get bored. I would do what I wanted when I wanted and whatever basically tickled my fancy. He had no real MO. But we're going to see him treat the women investigator different than he does the men. That's for sure. I think he was yesterday getting more, he was getting tired. He was getting frustrated and all that. But I think it's going to take a little harder turn today. So let's just go watch and we'll get on with it. I thank you for being here. If you're here, please hit the thumbs up, even if you're in the bushes. And let's talk about this. Full credit goes to Dark Crimes Watch. Y'all go sub up to them. And I appreciate you being here. So let's go.
Because if Plan A doesn't work, then all these other jurisdictions are going to go to Plan B and charge me separately for everything that I've done.
Well, Plan A, though, before we even get to it, would require them to write a letter saying they're not going to do it, right?
Well, it's not on here now. I mean,
well, we can put it on there. I mean, look, that's a starting point. It's a 3-page letter, not even. like I said, that needs to kind of go into a more comprehensive agreement. But, you know, don't get frustrated with the terms. Everything is, you know, you have some other concerns you identified today? We changed the letter. You know, we work on it. But we don't just get frustrated and kind of walk away, because that's, you know, that puts people in a corner. We don't want to put you in a corner. We don't want to be in a corner. I think we both know that the best way to proceed on this is the way we have been proceeding. And doing it as quietly as possible. I mean, I think, you know.
Well, that's my whole issue right now,
Yeah.
is it hasn't been very quiet. I mean, there's already like freaking pages online about me. I don't know.
Pages speculating.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know, whatever, speculation, fact, does it really matter nowadays?
Well, you know, I think it does. I think you said that last time we met. It's like, yeah, it's one reporter and reporting something. It's not reality yet. And, you know, I just am trying to negotiate a resolution that, look, it's going to control Vermont because, you know, we learned from it, and it's going to help us avoid that problem in other jurisdictions. You know, we can control, certainly was introduced. Like I said, if there is a way where you're cooperating with us and we can represent the court you're cooperating, there may be a way to keep that cooperation under seal in court.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm concerned about, but like I say, there's the Courier case is not the only one I'm concerned about right now.
Well, let's deal with those concerns on the other cases. I mean, that's why the whole, you know, aim of the plan is to kind of get their buyout before we do anything. You know, if we can't go to them and simply, you know, have someone say, hey, you know, we just need your buyout on this, we need the assurance. You know, it's difficult to try to control things. I agree. I do think that, look, you're going to follow through on your end, but
I just think at this point, I'm kind of feel like I'm in a position where I've given you a certain amount of information. None of it has, or I shouldn't say none of it. About half of what I thought we had an understanding on, you know, from the very beginning, hasn't worked out in my favor. Granted, you know, some things haven't worked out in your favor, but I just think at this point, I just don't see what incentive I have to tell you anything else. I've got, I mean, day-to-day, I got day-to-day issues, and, you know, we come over here and we sit in this room, and I still don't know what's going on with, like I say, with everything that we've talked about. And
in terms of the other case, and obviously that's on you and your lawyers to kind of to do whatever you see fit. In terms of the Courier case, that's what I can control, and that's what I can help control, at least, to the extent that I can assure them that things are in the works. You know, look, I can tell them, and I have told them, look, I think he's going to cooperate and continue giving us some of this stuff in exchange for some of the, you know, for some discretion, but, you know, they don't know you, and, you know,
I don't expect any sympathy from anyone.
No, and they're not. That's exactly the point.
Come on, let's be realistic.
Well, I am being realistic. They're not sympathetic at all. And that's why they're saying, well, you know, got a case on them, I guess, we can go ahead and charge them, right?
Exactly. So
What I'm trying to tell them is, look, that's maybe not the best thing to accomplish everybody's goals. And if I have something that I can take to them, I can maybe, you know, just put that off. So that's all I'm trying to deal with. All right, look, you know, I think there's a way to kind of circumscribe and, you know, limit the information in court. I think there's a way to write that in the agreement. I think there's a way to put a global settlement. You know, but if you want to put a Band-Aid on it, as they call it, and let's try to deal with the Vermont situation, I'm amenable to doing that too. You know,
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff.
what about
Why is it carjacking? Anyway, I didn't.
well,
that
you
pretty-
took their put them in the car.
Is that because it was their car and not mine or something?
Yeah.
So if it had been my car, it would have been kidnapping or what?
Yeah, it depends on the method of the kidnapping.
It's
But,
weird. Carjacking.
yeah, kind of makes you seem like a gang member. The I'm just trying to think about Vermont, maybe how to buy time over there.
I don't.
Watch how he tilts his head. He's thinking.
Like, they've already released.
He's thinking
enough
very
information. They're gonna
carefully.
Get hounded endlessly until they release my name now. So
Yeah, but if I can, give them something that kind of gives them comfort and gives the family comfort, then, maybe we can delay things there until at least you find out what's going on in your other situation.
I don't. Like I say, it doesn't matter as far as Vermont goes. Everybody already assumed I did it. So
Yeah, but no one's really
even my own family pretty much assumes I did it. So.
But one of your goals was to not get charged out there. That was one of the things you told us the other day, is that you didn't want
No, I
to go
don't.
back there. So that is something that we can still,
So ideally, what would that say? You said there was some, how would you have that read? What information would you have released about the? I mean, you control everything beyond the couriers because you only tell us whatever you want to be released. What would be acceptable to you to be released that you think would meet your goal in this case? And like Frank was talking about, quantity.
Well, it sounds like right now I don't even know if this is going to be charged by Vermont or by the feds. And
So what would you want and have to say regarding that?
see that this is the problem though, because I don't even know what's possible. It doesn't.
it does talk about that if this offer outlines a proposal you plead guilty to conduct in Alaska, which would prevent you from having to go back and face charges in Vermont, either state or federal back there.
That would be the goal. That's the goal of this letter is, let's keep it here. At least.
So if that's
I
where the
just don't
initial-
understand why they even would want to charge me there in the first place. It makes no sense.
Well, it's also they have family members that they feel like they're close to, and I'm just giving you, their perspective they gave me.
You've got to remember this interview went on for over a month. Again, they squeezed it into about 6 hours, but it is a full interview and it went on for about over a month. He had plenty of time to look over these records, this email, all the things. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he's playing them like a fiddle. He's not dumb. He knows all this, right? This went on all this time. And every time a different detective or every time that the detectives come in, they would always read him his Miranda rights and they would ask him, do you want an attorney? He would say, no. He, as far as this letter would just say, email this letter over to them. But he never asked for an attorney. He never wanted his attorney because he wanted all the attention. That's his narcissism. And he didn't want this to be stopped because he knew his attorney, in my opinion, would stop it. But this went on, right? So he's just playing them. Just remember that. Believe me, he had time in these weeks in between time and these little meetings. He had time to talk to his attorney. He knows exactly what all this means. I'm just telling y'all.
They want to kind of make sure their family members see justice, and they feel like it's a Vermont crime. The community needs to know that type of thing, and that's their sentiment. It may not make sense to you, but I understand it from a law enforcement perspective that hey, you committed a crime there, you should be held accountable there. That's typically their take on things, and it would probably be our take on things too if it happened in reverse. All right, but I think that there's a way to just be able to kind of at least put them off for a little while you're thinking about other things and thinking about a global resolution we can work on. But, like I said, that's a way for us to get close to our goals. If you want a sort of smaller way, I can come up with one.
No, I mean, your goals at this point are pretty easy. I mean,
Yeah.
My goal is not to get charged for
For the couriers.
7, 8 different times or whatever.
And that's a goal
Same thing.
That's a goal we can help you with.
Well, that addresses everything.
Right. No, I understand that is something I still have in my control. I mean, apparently it's already out of my control. I'm already going to get charged twice.
Well,
So
we can, at least have that just rolled in here.
It's everything.
right. No, I
Yeah, we're trying to do
understand that, but I would rather have it all hammered out. This just seems
Well, you know what?
really preemptive right now. It's like there's got to be a way to do it to where I get something a little more concrete, and then then I know for sure that that's it. It's not going to keep going on and on from one.
So what's an example of what you mean by concrete? Like, what would you? I guess I'm not clear on what you want.
Well, that's
I thought
within
you
our
were-
control. What could we put in there in writing that is?
I don't know that there's. I don't know. I don't.
What types of ideas that would you like? I mean, look, just plain ideas that we can work with. And I think I have some thoughts on, a couple of different ways we can try to work on this. I just need to know what your concrete ideas are, because, that's what you want at. I mean, I try to write that with your goals in mind, based upon a flip chart of what your goals are, and, I think I try to satisfy those. And, to the extent you have other goals and other ideas, then, we work it in.
Yeah, I'm just not so sure I even have that goal anymore. I mean, like I say, if me looking for the death penalty is gonna make this into a bigger circus than it already is, and they're gonna take all this information that the things that I've done and put it in a public sentencing hearing,
It doesn't have to happen that way, though.
well, I don't know that though. I mean, because I've been told it does, so this is the problem.
All I can tell you is the United States government controls what evidence is introduced into court. And I represent them. So I have absolute control over what evidence I put in.
Right. Well, that's good to know.
And if it says in here what evidence gets introduced, that's what Frank has to go by.
Yeah, and no one's going to tell me that, here's what I have to do now. Obviously, there's, bosses everywhere that'll try to tell you stuff, but if we have an agreement that binds those people, then, it is what it is. Court doesn't have any right to demand more information from us. Court has to let us try our case. And I decide all the time at trial, I'm not going to put that person on, even though maybe they could help my case, but it's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me because I have some other goal in mind. Legal strategy 101 happens every day. So, that is in my control. That's what I'm telling you.
And so you want something that's within my control. It's as simple as that.
I don't know. I couldn't find anything on that, but to me, he's very calculating. Okay. He knows exactly what he's doing. He was able to avoid detection from the law for years and years. He studied the police and he studied the police procedures. He was able to hide his emotions from those around him and everybody. And there may be an IQ out there, but I don't know. It would be interesting to know. I'm sure that they did one on him, but would it be publicly released? I don't know. Or was it sealed? I'll try to find that out. He wanted full control of all of these interviews. Yeah, yeah, and the way he was raised as a kid, and he didn't want all that out in public either. He didn't want any of that out. And then I don't think it was because he was trying to protect his family. I think it was more he was trying to protect his image, but that's just what I think. But he's highly, he's organized. Hey, Andrea. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Happy Monday. He's highly organized, right? So I don't know. I will check into that because that is it may be out there somewhere. There is so much on him. I am going to definitely do a deep dive because, you know, he's unlike, and just like they said, he's unlike any serial killer that's ever been. I mean, it's just unreal. It's hard to believe these people exist, but they do. And so just in the last almost 2 days, I've been really studying up on him. It's crazy, but it's so much crazy how much. Yeah, Dr. Gary would know. He sure would. I'll go around too and see if I can get any insights from them. But we're going to get into, if you're just coming in later this afternoon, we'll take a small break. We're going to get, I found some interviews and stuff, and, you know, people who know him. But again, they all say the same thing. They say, you would have never known. You would have never thought. And Andrea, oh my God, if you didn't hear what I said, it's triggering. Rewind, girl, about what he did. He even braided the girl's hair after she was deceased. He took her to his home, all the stuff. He told the cops he did that like he did his daughter's hair. How sick. And there's more, but it's triggering. It is triggering, y'all. I don't know, but we'll get to the bottom of it. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Oh boy, I'm gonna end up freaking max lockdown year after year, you're bouncing around.
Doesn't have to be that way.
Call it a premonition.
Doesn't have to be that way. We're trying to avoid that. Everybody in this room, I can tell you, is trying to avoid it being a circus. We're just trying to get, what we want, let people know, our bosses, that we're getting what we want. We've got some assurances. Renegotiate what you want.
wanted to screw you, I wouldn't be sitting here drafting a letter to you about here's what we're gonna do for you, and, you know, I wouldn't even be in here. You know, we wanted to go ahead and just try to make you a villain. We could just go and do that. All right? Well, you know, look, you're concerned about the extent to which.
Well, there's certain things, but from an entertainment perspective, from my perspective, yeah, it would be really fun to have all of this stuff come out, but, you know, I'm not trying to single-handedly give my mom a heart attack, so. But I still think there's gotta be something.
Yeah,
more.
he's just so nonchalant about everything.
Getting more information. Because I haven't seen anything yet.
What do you want?
I want to know what's going to happen.
You want to know what's going to happen and when? You want to know?
Yeah.
You want to know how much information is going to be released publicly? Let's flesh that out a little bit more.
Well, first of all, we can't talk about it in this meeting,
Okay.
and that's the biggest problem of all.
Okay. So that problem.
Secondly, there's this problem with Vermont that they already have enough information on me. They want, they want to make it public or whatever, one way or the other. Honestly, I don't care if this courier thing gets charged in Vermont or gets charged federally. Because right now, it's not gonna, either way, it seems like it's just going to keep dragging on, and I've got other more immediate concerns.
Well, the immediate concerns, I mean, here's an idea. Let's deal with your immediate concerns. You want time to deal with those immediate concerns, and, Vermont is obviously, under some pressure to kind of make a decision in terms of charging. There's a way I can at least go back to them as this Band-Aid and say, look, we're going to, move forward on part of a plan. Let's assume we go back to the sort of just the New York thing, and we simply say, part of the plan, to give it a try, he's going to provide just the jurisdiction where the person is taken. If you agree to kind of put off charging, and to just do the same thing you're doing. Just put off the press, put off charging, just say investigations continue. There's a way to go back to them and do that for, like I just said, sort of a Band-Aid type of thing, just to buy us some time. I'll be happy to try that.
I don't, like I say, I don't care. They've already released the information in the media. They're going to charge me for it. You're going to charge me for it. Either way, the whole thing wasn't even supposed to.
Well, there's a way to, at least put that off, and, if there's a way to put that off, maybe there's a way to strike a bigger deal down the road, if we buy some time for ourselves. And obviously that would entail, though, getting the assurance before you gave any information. So, look, it's a Band-Aid. It allows you to get an assurance, but it also buys you time to think about your ultimate goals and what you want in an agreement.
It also gives you a chance to see if this plan would work, which I sense is part of your concern.
Yeah, 'cause it doesn't, it says that this plan, it says right in this plan that this plan might not work, so.
Not from our perspective, I said, look, which
Not
part,
the kind of thing you want to
Which
see.
part
in
are you talking
construction, right?
which part are you talking about?
It says, you understand that we have no control over what.
The Attorney General.
Right.
See,
So
he
that's-
knows,
I mean,
he
but
knows what it
that's-
says, he
that
knows what it
Could
means.
follow through with this
He knows
entire
that,
thing.
and
But
it's
the
already
majority
you get
of
to
it
walk away.
is there's nothing in it that anybody has any control over.
I think you do have control over things, and you have control over things, because that I put in there, just, the Attorney General thing, out of deference for what you want. If you're not getting what you want, then I understand you don't have a benefit. If the Attorney General comes back and says, life in prison is what I want you to see, that's not gonna make you happy. And then, the benefit of your bargain is lost, in my mind. And that's why I put it in there. But, look, I think we didn't want to write this letter by saying, the Attorney General is never going to guarantee what's going to happen. We can't make the Attorney General guarantee what's going to happen. We can only make full information available. So that's just a sort of acknowledgement that the Attorney General is an independent body and he gets to make a decision, whatever he sees fit based on that information. So,
I think it
as
is,
much
but
as
I'm no
there is,
psychologist, but
the
I
main
think
crux
it
of this
is.
deal is you getting control over the prosecution of cases. You getting control over, if you want, the extent of information. You getting some guarantees over that. And in exchange, us moving forward as quickly as possible with you controlling, some of the deadlines. So, I don't know, I do think you get what you want. I mean, look, we just can't, I don't have the authority to speak for the Attorney General. Look, I'd like to put a deadline on him too. And say, hey, you gotta come back with a decision next week. But, he's not gonna listen to me.
Well, there's another factor that just occurred to me recently with the sentencing portion is if whoever happens to be sentencing me knows that the death penalty is what I want, there's a chance that there could be some reverse psychology going into play there, and they're going to want to give me the opposite of what I want.
Well, I think you even talked about that at one point, and that was part of your thought that you go before a jury rather than a judge.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it could work either way.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible.
There's just a lot of,
I mean, look, yeah.
I know,
I mean, it would be,
maybe this, yeah.
You can't guarantee, like I said, I can't guarantee what a judge is gonna do. I can't guarantee what a jury's going to do.
You just work out a whole under the table resolution.
And the other way to look at that, though, is if you think that's a possibility with that reverse psychology, I mean, I guess if they think you have something still to offer, maybe that would be an option. But if not, then, you know what I mean? If they still think there's information to be had, whereas if we had an agreement where all the information was going to come out, I think that might be less likely. You know what I mean?
Y'all know he was a fan of Ted Bundy's, right? Yeah, his laughing. Oh my God, his laughing. But you do know he was a fan of Ted Bundy. So not only did he study the cops, he, studied Ted Bundy and everything that he did as well. They say he really looked down on BTK. That's odd. It said, while he admitted Ted Bundy, while he admired Ted Bundy, Keyes was less impressed by Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, as Alaska Assistant U.S. Attorney Frank Russo told the press. Keyes thought of BTK as a wimp. Wow. And he couldn't understand why he came out and said he was sorry for everything he done. That come from Keys. Wow. And he has no, that shows he has no remorse. Just what you're saying, Andrea. I don't think he has a conscience. I don't think he does. You know, I was just looking over some things here, and also, y'all know he was raised by religious parents that was fundamentalists. We went over that, but that was just some facts. I'm trying to find out if I can find about his IQ. I would really like to know. I would really love to know. But I don't. I'm trying to see here. There's a doctor named Chris Knuckle, and he's a forensic and clinical psychologist, and he serves as a deputy director of the South Carolina Department of Corrections. Let's see what he said. Well, no, that's a video. I'll put that in my to-do list. But he's speaking on him, and I would play it, but it's him among others. Well, I don't know. Maybe let's just listen to it. All right, this credit is, we'll just listen through my phone. This is CBS Albany, where he was speaking. Let's listen. Hold on.
And I'm Dr. Chris Kunkel. I'm the Associate Director of the Criminal Investigation Resource Center here at Russell Sage College. So I started my career as a forensic scientist. I was a chemistry major in college, minored in forensic science, and got a job with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, where I worked in the Trace Evidence Division. And I also assisted in crime scenes. So we processed trace evidence as it came into the lab from crime scenes for later analysis, either for trace evidence or DNA. So I decided shortly into my forensic science career that I was interested more in the criminal behavior backgrounds of offenders and the why and how offenses were committed. So I decided to pursue a graduate education, and I went to the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. I got my master's degree in forensic psychology, and then I went on to get my doctorate in clinical psychology at Long Island University, CWP Post. From there, I started working in the field. I've worked primarily in secure facilities and prisons as a treatment provider, and then in leadership from the mid 2000s till the late 2000s. So we met Mary, we got involved with Mary back in 2018, like as soon as we started.
Again, this right here is CBS Albany that we're hearing. Forensic psychologist speaks on infamous serial killers.
I had met Mary years before doing the Right to Missing Children.
It's not very long.
With Susie's case. I knew Mary would be a catalyst for things. Tina met Mary. She talks to Mary like all the time.
Yes. She's like, oh, I was just talking to Mary.
So Mary brought us some information in Susie's case, and we started going through that information. iHeartRadio got interested in doing a podcast on Susie's case early on. Right after we formed the Cold Case Center.
Yeah, it was the spring of, actually December of 2018.
Yeah.
We started that.
Same year that year.
Yeah. So that podcast went out there, and and that was much of a historical kind of breakdown of the case.
What happened?
Right. A lot of it was things that were already well known.
All right, talk about.
Samantha
I just forwarded a
Cummings'
minute.
ATM card after the crime.
Oh, here it is. Okay, hold
was
on.
wrong. Makes people disappear without a trace. And if he had been
All right, let me back it up a little bit.
Or conclusion about the Suzanne Lyle case was completely different information because I didn't have the same information he had. He had more.
Sorry, I always mess with buttons when I don't need to.
His case that we didn't have at the time, and I initially had considered Keyes a person of interest in Susie Lyle's disappearance because I knew that he had owned property in New York. I knew that it said he had been enlisted into the military through Albany, so he had to have some contact down here. And just what we knew about his other cases and other suspected cases is that he was the type of offender who makes people disappear without a trace. And if he had been operating in the area at the time, he would be someone we want to look into. I knew he was he's basically profiled as a skilled opportunist. He's a person who's always ready to offend, and if primed to do so, he acts. And he was able to
skilled opportunist.
Go without detection for so long because he would only take opportunities that were going to be beneficial to him, and he would size them up.
Like you said, as proof that he didn't leave a trace,
Right.
Shows that he was very calculated and methodical.
Right. And actually what led
Methodical.
to him being captured was him losing more control over that and being more exposed. So when I met Josh and started talking to Josh about the information he had, I learned that Israel Keyes had Suzanne Lyle's picture on his computer. That picture matched the NamUs database picture. He had lots of NamUs database pictures on his computer. Suzanne Lyle was one of them. The profile of using Samantha Koenig's ATM card after the crime, withdrawing $20 to do a test to make sure how much money was in the account and get a balance. The fact that Keyes said he'd been offending for 14 years when he was caught, that measured right up with 1998. It was right before he went into the military.
14 years.
Time. He was living alone in New York.
Prior.
We know that he got his Social Security number, GED, probably through Albany. Most likely the GED through Albany, and his property was in Constable. He had bought the property in October of '97, so he was definitely in the area between October '97 and July, August of '98 when he enlisted. And we knew that he was into gaming. He was into online. He was almost the same age as Susie. He would have easily blended into the background. We just started to see that this wasn't just this should be a person of interest. It was becoming more likely that he'd be a good suspect. I also learned through Josh that there was a sighting by a woman. She called us in after Keyes was arrested, had no involvement in the Suzanne Lyle case, no mention of the Suzanne Lyle case, just called and said she had had an interaction with who she believed.
I didn't either where the wind blows.
In the early
Interesting,
spring
isn't it?
or late winter of '98, so like February, March '98. And the parking lot of the Marshalls across the street from the Colony Center Mall, which is where Keyes enlisted was through the recruiting center at Colony Center, where a guy matching Keyes' description, described what he looked like, talked like, approached her and said, how old are you? And made some other comment, which she thought was strange, and then he was gone. So we have him in a shopping center.
Until she saw the
Right.
interest. Yeah.
So we have him in a shopping center parking lot, close to where Suzanne worked. And then we learned later that there was a mention of Suzanne making a comment to her manager that she had a stalker, and we you know, he didn't really know what she meant. He kind of took it off as half kidding, but we're not really sure what the context of it was.
And that was shortly before she went missing there.
Right. So, and, you know, we started to speculate, did she really disappear from the Albany campus, which is, you know, the foregoing theory was that she made it back to campus and then never made it back to her dorm room.
But what if she did?
But what if she didn't? And, you know, we started looking at Crossgates Mall, the exit that she went out of, that our manager said she went out of, that everybody knew she went out of, and that is not a safe area. If someone is...
Tina's quote was, if I was going to take someone,
That's what I do. Yeah.
That's what I do. I mean, that is what you think of when you think of a back
Yeah.
entrance to a mall. There's dumpsters. It's not well lit. There's not a lot of people back there to see, to hear you,
Yeah.
anything.
And a little over a year ago,
I couldn't, no.
doing a piece on Josh's work, and I came here and walked the campus with Josh, and we went to the bus circle and looked at the dormitory and the building and the proximity, and it just doesn't make sense that someone would disappear in
Wouldn't
that
make
way.
it from there to there.
So, and you know, there's not 100% certainty she was on the bus. I know they had a witness who said that she was, but it also could have been the night before, or you know, or a couple of days before.
People make
Or
mistakes. It
misremember.
could have been another drama.
So I mean, so if you put all those pieces together, Israel Keys is a solid, likely suspect. I'm not saying he did it. I don't know. We won't know until we know. And I'm not saying it's not somebody else. It could be, but given all the information we have, it's a very, it'd be on the top of my suspect board if I were working on a case.
Have you seen his interviews at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, the FBI has his interviews available to look at.
And he wasn't one who wanted to brag. So he's dead now, of course. He
I don't blame you.
in prison in 2013, but while he was awaiting these cases, and what seems to have been happening throughout their ongoing interrogation, him trying to get him to tell them more, he would say, I'm only going to tell you the things that I think you can figure out on your own. So, and I'm going to do that in my time. He at one point told them he would give them everything, and what everything meant was probably everything that he thought they could figure out. If they gave him an execution date, and that was far more complicated than Keys understood.
Yeah.
So I think he was also just listening to the course of the.
Maybe they don't think he was too bright.
Frustrated with the
They said
process.
that's far more than they thought he might have understood. So I wonder if there's a little bit more here to this, not much, but I wish somebody would say what his IQ or what they at least think it is.
He was always concerned about how much material was going to be out there about him, because he had a daughter that he actually cared about, seemingly.
I was going to say, imagine.
He seemed to at least care about her. But, Josh always reminds me with a grain of salt. But he also may have left her in a hotel room while he went and killed somebody. So.
Wow. Wow.
So, so, and he killed Smith Koenig while she was in the house next door. He was in a shed, but, so yeah, I mean, not a warm, not a warm father here. But I think he was losing control of his ability to mask and control the situation, because I noticed in the interviews he would catch himself, right? He would, because he's not one of those people who wanted to willfully lie. He's not like, if you listen to John Wayne Gacy interviews, he's a willful liar. He just creates stories and states them as if they're the truth and is appalled if you
So
disagree.
he's not a willful liar.
That type of
Huh.
person.
He don't want to
just as
lie.
dangerous and evil, but at the same time, he wanted to be honest, so he would lie through exclusion, right? He would just not answer the question.
Not include everything.
Right, like he would give you a tidbit.
Yeah, I was in Albany. Oh, I don't remember when.
And you'd see when he started to relax, he would start to answer the question and he'd just stop. And
Yep.
then he'd try to like kind of
Dance around.
lose the line or just kind of quiet down. Or he would, like, if he started to be too honest, he'd start to mumble, you know. So I think he was really losing the ability to keep it masked anymore, you know.
And in your professional digging through the minds of these folks, what would you hypothesize is the reason that he would start to be honest and then shut down? Just more of a personality thing, or?
Well, it's the first time he was living in captivity, right? It does interesting things to people when you are under lock and key every day. So you start to have to adapt, and you know, he was living with urges that are pretty apparent as crimes. You know, he engaged in necrophilia with Samantha Koenig, with her remains. He was, you know, he murdered a couple that we know of. He murdered a woman from New Jersey that he is said to have brought her body somewhere in New York. And they speculated to have killed, you know, at least a dozen more people. One of them, you know, we think maybe Suzanne Lyle. He lived with deviant sexual urges. It's clear. And he didn't want to talk about those. You know, he said in one of his interviews, like, those are the things I've done are my things. Like,
Wow.
they're my private
He did
life.
say that
I don't
yesterday.
want to talk about these
Or
things. And
in my other
experience
live.
working with offenders, especially in the sex offender treatment room, that's the breakthrough, is they don't want to talk about what their deviant fantasies are, and trying to get them to trust somebody to sit with them and to trust them with those deviant fantasies so they can help them manage them is a huge leap to make.
Right.
You know,
Especially if they're already in an incarcerated state where it's like, are you just gonna punish me more?
Yeah.
Or, you know, is this gonna be a detriment to me if I share with you?
right. And people want, you know, victims advocates want offenders to be accountable, and I don't disagree with that. And at the same time, you can't force them to be accountable,
You
and
can't make them sit
right.
down.
And the path to controlling behavior isn't always through someone's accountability they've shown. It's through demonstrating that they want to change and that they can share these deepest, darkest thoughts. And to think that somebody can just randomly sit down in a room with someone they don't trust
And just
and tell about their darkest, awful things.
I mean, even people
is,
who
you know.
aren't sexual offenders
Right.
would have a hard time with that.
And then there's others who want to share it because they actually want to victimize you again, right, through telling you. And I do think in some of the
It's
interviews
like such a black and white, it
Yeah.
seems.
well, Keyes at one point told the investigators, like, if you bring back one of the detectives from Alaska was not in the room, he said, if you bring her here, I will tell her everything. And they said, why? He said, that because that's just who I am.
Wow.
So, you know, there was a certain time when he was willing to go there, but it wasn't
It was only under his terms, like you said, very much.
his terms and his victim.
Yeah.
Right. Who does he want to victimize? And I think they do.
Can you imagine being called in by somebody that they want you?
Could have gotten more information because of where he was going. But,
Yeah, just worried about the impact that it would have.
yeah. Well, and it was in that interview that he really detailed to the extent that he engaged in the murder, the dismemberment, the postmortem sex, like all of he chronicled everything. And he probably would have, at that point, given him more because he was already so far down the well.
Right, like
You know.
what else can you get out of it?
Yeah.
What else can you do knowing this now?
Right.
Wow. So it didn't tell his IQ, but it did tell a little bit about this interview, what they think has happened and going on. But yeah, he was definitely methodical Oh, ooh, but can you imagine being the lady from Alaska cop and he's asking for you? Bring her back in and I'll tell her everything. That's creepy. The things that they have to put up with. Oh, wow. Yeah, no doubt it would be mind-boggling at the very least. At the very least. All right, let's go on with the interview. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's one reason I think they could look at something like that.
Everybody just makes too big of a deal out of this stuff.
We're trying.
Bigger problems in the world we could be worrying about right now.
Well, this is, one problem a day. This is sort of a problem that we all have, and we're trying to come up with, a solution that we get both of us get closer to our goal. And that's what I've been working on. I'll come up with another plan. I'm happy to kind of keep working on it. I'm happy to redraft the letter. I'm happy to kind of call whoever I need to call. But, I think I don't want to close the door on things.
Well, I don't really see that that's an option at this point.
No, I think we all understand that, but we're just concerned that.
At this point, I'm thinking pretty obvious to me that whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and I haven't been able to control. I haven't really been able to control any of the information I've given out. Like, once I've given it out, that's pretty much been it. So
I think you're wrong about that. I mean, think about it. The Tupper Lake bank robbery. Has anybody come and questioned you about that Tupper Lake bank robbery?
no,
Right.
I'm not.
Arson in Texas. Burglary in Texas. No one's talked to you about that, right? Bank robbery in Texas.
It's probably kind of like small potatoes.
Maybe so, but look.
No,
Look, the courier thing was the only thing.
Yes, all right, yes, okay, great. So all this stuff hasn't come out, but I don't know. I just have some concerns with these other. First of all, like I say, I can't see that there's anything for me to gain at this point. It seems like whatever's going to happen is going to happen regardless.
Again, I'll disagree with you on that, but like I said, I think we can control it from here on in. Yeah, there was one cop in Vermont who spoke when he shouldn't have, and yeah, we got to eat that. Sorry about it. It wasn't, that was not planned.
Well, like I said, what's done is done.
Yeah. So, but I mean, with the exception of that, I think you remarked before that you've been impressed about the level of discretion that we've displayed.
Yeah, no, mostly I was referring to the Alaska stuff, but yeah, that's great, that's fine.
The Alaska stuff we have, obviously more control over, but, the other jurisdictions, we're just trying to control now. I don't want to get in a position where I lose complete control, or we lose complete control in this room about what happens in Vermont. And that's just sort of what I was thinking about in terms of, that letter. It's just trying to, kind of keep things.
Hi, Raymond. Good to see you.
And have them sort of join back together with us to go back to almost that letter. I thought the letter was going to accomplish that, getting us where we need to go. And so I'm just trying to figure out a way to kind of get back there, because I think that's where you want to be, where it just says, what is it?
Well, I mean, even if we had come to an agreement with that letter, that reporter still would have released their information.
Yeah, but look at what it says here. Will not identify Mr. Keyes as the perpetrator of murder as a crime he's committed in Vermont, or charge him separately in our jurisdiction without your authorization.
Right.
That's the part that, I'm trying to get that back. And in order to get that back, I've got to buy it with something. politically, I've got to be able to give them something to say, all right, here's why we're not doing it, and we're gonna, if someone questions us down the road, we have some reason to say, here's why we didn't do it. And so that's just it. There's a whole like law enforcement side, and then there's a whole political side to this too that we're trying to kind of tamp down as well.
He's thinking hard. Oh, wow. Is that good or bad? Bless your heart. Well, you enjoy that time, I'm telling you. I know you are burnout. I'm glad you get some time off. I know Chicken Lady's glad to have you there too.
Yeah, I don't know. Starting to think I'm more efficient than government.
Well, I think you're certainly you're good at planning.
In what way?
You're good at planning stuff, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Is simply come up with a plan, and I'm seeking your input on the plan.
You're the planner and organizer. We could use those skills now to work towards a different goal here.
Yeah,
There's only certain things I like.
I'm trying to plan, and I'm trying to, give Vermont some little glimmer of hope in the hopes of accomplishing a bigger goal. If we can't accomplish the major one, where we have to kind of redraft that letter and get some more.
See how his body language is? He's starting to get nervous. He's starting to rub his hair. He's moving his hands. It's a whole different scenario in this part of it. He's getting antsy. He's thinking a little bit longer. So yeah, things are fixing to get a little bit crazy.
More concrete terms, and you want to see what happens. Fine.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like I say, I don't even know what's possible.
Yeah, well,
Apparently my peeps didn't want to be here, so.
Well, they can be here if you want. That's the.
Remember what that says is that if you want them here, that they will be here immediately, I think is what it says.
Mr. Gertner is supposed to come according to, the court order.
I thought you were always just reading that so you could boot me out if you didn't show up.
You what?
No, I mean that's your right. That's an option that the judge has said is if we're here and you request him, we give him a call, and according to the judge's order, he has to come immediately.
I don't even care if it's here physically. It'd be nice if one of these times have a meeting and discuss.
Well, I mean, I think he has it highlighted as exactly what it says.
Yeah, I was looking at just to be sure. It's anytime Mr. Keys wants counsel.
Well, I know I'm
Anytime
entitled.
counsel becomes immediately available. That's what it
I
says.
understand that.
Counsel becomes available immediately. So, that's up to you. If you want to discuss
other crimes with counsel present, with your other counsel, standby counsels, Mr. Kurtner, you know, we can arrange that with him.
See how fidgety? Now he's playing with the top. I mean,
You
yeah.
could call him at your request and see what he says, if you're requesting that.
Oh, well, already requested it. I don't say it was, you know, supposed to.
Yeah, I imagine you could get a little burnout,
You didn't
Raymond.
request it through us, just to be clear, right?
Not through you.
Okay.
I'm just saying there's.
If you're requesting that from us now, we're gonna stop now, and we're gonna step out of the room and make a phone
And
call.
we'll call him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It sounds like there's nothing else we can talk about unless.
I mean, I want to kind of obey the court order, you know, to the letter, if that's something you're.
I don't know what else. I don't know what else you have to offer me, and
He don't know what they have to offer him.
So I mean, I'm not happy with what the letter is. It lays out the possibilities, but I don't know if those are the only possibilities. I don't know. It's just
Let's take a break.
This whole thing
Yeah.
is, like I say, it's premature.
Well, let me, let's take a break for a second. Step out. I want to kind of make sure we're respecting your rights to.
I'm fine to talk. I'm fine to talk speak for myself. I'm just saying there's other things that need to be discussed in these meetings that we can't talk about unless, at least as it stands now, unless my attorney is here. So.
But this says right here, if you request us to get a hold of him, we'll do that.
Right.
So I guess I should ask just for the record, do you want us to do that?
You want us to call Mr. Kurtner right now and see if he can come over right now?
Yeah. All right, we'll do that.
You have to take a leak or anything?
Yeah, I could.
Hang on a second, we'll let us get out here and we'll get that.
So where do we leave off?
What's going on with the client case?
All right. Here's what we have. Capital Crimes has the memo. All right. It went in last week. So there was some, I think the U.S. Attorney was a little bit hesitant because there were some concerns that you didn't want to sign the agreement.
What agreement?
The agreement she wrote to,
The one negating the first.
yeah. Yeah.
Right, but when we spoke in the last meeting we had when we were all there, and it was on recording, and I said I didn't want, that wasn't supposed to be on the table in the first place.
Okay.
And I asked Feldes at the end of that meeting if there was anything else he needed. He said no.
Yeah, and then what happened there is we went back to the U.S. Attorney, and her impression, she said, look, the original one was in writing, so I'd like it to be in writing as well. So she wrote another letter, and obviously, you've seen this, and so it basically said, hey, just like the comfort of it. And then there was a court order as well that basically, prohibited us from doing anything with capital crimes until Judge Roberts reconsidered that. And so we got that rescinded, but then after that, we wrote a bunch of other letters seeing whether or not that was still your intent. Because the U.S. Attorney was very concerned that, you might want to change your mind, and she didn't want to welch on a deal that she had promised you.
So it sounds like the short story is you put in your memo and you did not recommend the death penalty.
I can't tell you what
U.S. attorney recommended. I'm prohibited from doing that.
Now, remember,
I can
they
just
don't
give
have
you-
the death
and
penalty
you've probably
in
seen these
Alaska.
letters that she
I saw
wrote.
a couple of them.
Okay. So she wrote a couple letters, and then I wrote a letter to confirm, and the last letter basically said, you know, the first paragraph, I don't know if Mr. Craven wants to show this to you.
He's already seen all the letters.
So the last letter was, you know, Mr. Curtin did not say that Mr. Keys has changed his mind. Mr. Keys still wants U.S. Attorney Leffler to make her recommendation unbound from any promises contained in the March 30 letter. I have conveyed this information to U.S. Attorney Leffler. So that's where it stood. So that was the last piece of the puzzle there, and then she decided, okay, I'm going to send my recommendation after that. She sent her recommendation in. So they have it. This week, they wrote back saying, giving opportunities for a conference. I think Karen mentioned this to you, Rich.
You told me you were going to give me
Yeah.
potential dates.
We have 4 dates per conference, and that's an opportunity for your lawyers to meet with capital crimes and present information about mitigation, about, you know, not seeking the death penalty. And those are August 6th, August 13th, September 4th, and September 17th. Those are the 4 possible dates that we have. And the procedure is, I understand it, is they invite your attorneys back there, and you know, they get to argue that the death penalty shouldn't be imposed, if that's what you want. You know, I'm not privy to your discussion, so I don't know what.
Hypothetically, what happens if I don't have any attorney?
Thank you so much, Raymond. Thank
Do I get paid for
you.
meeting?
Raymond
Well, I
gets
mean-
one membership. Whoever
I think
doesn't
obviously
please
whatever-
keep Raymond.
You know, that's between you and your attorneys, but your position, I think, is made known through your attorneys. That's my understanding of the process at this point. So your position has to be made known to the Capital Crimes Review Committee through your attorneys. And I don't know whether, you know, what your discussions were, but and I don't know, Rich, if you plan to try to present mitigation. It doesn't, sounds like you still don't want mitigation in that case. In other words, you seem like you still are on course for the death
Well, I would
penalty.
just tell you, we're still, these are complex issues, we're still exploring all this. You know, I don't know if, you know, we talk about this with Israel all the time, I don't know if he completely understands all the procedures involved and the gravity of this type of decision, so, you know, we're in ongoing discussions, private discussions with Israel about all this.
Sure.
He's
Well,
ready.
but like we were saying before, there's a lot of aspects of the Cohen case that, if it were to go to sentencing and death penalty hearing, that I wouldn't want to be public. Same as with the courier, like what we were saying earlier.
And what,
But I have no, you know, it doesn't matter what I sign or what deals we work out. It sounds like there's no way you can give me any assurance as to whether or not those issues are going to come up at a hearing.
that can be something, as I told him before when we got here, we can discuss in the context of.
He definitely thinks he has all of the control. He is still controlling the situation. Still. It's what you can give me, and I don't think you can do. And he's playing all these games. It's nothing but games. Right? Hold on, I gotta sneeze again. Woo, I must be allergic to something in my own room in here. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's games he's playing with them. He's trying to call all these people in, and everyone, it's the same thing over and over again. So, yeah.
The global south. He's concerned about the details coming up in open court. All right. Now, to the extent that, you know, we want to limit that, maybe we can do that in a global agreement in exchange for, you know, information about these other homicides. And that's what I was suggesting to him. I'm sure you see the letter I've sent to him saying, you know, we can maybe go with this process and get some assurances from him that he wouldn't be prosecuted by state authorities. And he just brought up this
I
morning
don't think
about,
that's
I'm
the same
concerned that
lady. There is a lady
details are
there,
gonna
but
get
I
out
don't
no
think
matter
it's the
what.
same one.
They've already been out. I mean, did you see the video from Vermont? I mean, the whole 6-minute video about everything,
Of what?
couriers and.
I mean, I didn't think that they really, they came out, it was one news station reporting it.
Yeah,
In fact,
and everybody that I know of has seen it.
well, I mean,
But it's basic information, it's not the details that Israel's concerned about, I don't think. And none of the information that he's concerned about getting out has gotten out. And he's talking about the details of the crimes, not the
His
crimes.
family saw it before I did, and that's the whole purpose.
Well, that's a concern
I would
too,
not
but
be
I mean,
catering
that,
to
you
him. I'm
know,
sorry.
as far as the Vermont, that's another concern I have, somewhat, is if, hypothetically, if I give you details on other crimes in other states, what's ultimately going to happen? At what point does that information become public knowledge as well? Or does it? Does it have to? What's the procedure for that? Is there some way we can work it out to where
Why does he care? He's going to be
if I give you
dead.
this information,
I'm just saying.
it stays sealed or at least limited release or something? I don't know. I don't even know what the options are. But it just seems like in Vermont, as soon as they had the information, they, of course everybody wants to know, and it's going to be the same everywhere else too. So
I think we can work with these other jurisdictions by getting those assurances. As I've said sort of before, Vermont was something we weren't really sure about the scope of things. And now that we are, I
Right.
think we can proceed better to kind of get assurances, at least in the local jurisdictions, that, A, they're not going to prosecute you, and B, any details you release, at least are not published.
right.
Now,
Okay.
in terms of what comes out in court, that was your other concern, right?
Right. Well,
I mean,
not
that's-
just what comes out in court, but I'm also concerned about the Conan case and that, it's a high-profile case up here, and what's going to happen is, as soon as it gets to the point where I plead to that, then all the media is going to want, it's going to be the same thing. They're all going to be clamoring for details, like what happened and all of that. So what efforts are going to be made to control that, if any, and
I'm suggesting to you that we can come up with a global agreement which effectively limits what we put out in public in exchange for information about the other non-citizens. So if we don't put that out in a court of law in public, the
right.
media wouldn't learn of it. So that's my suggestion as to sort of a global thing to wrap Koenig into couriers and everything else. I mean, obviously, Israel's expressed that he doesn't want to be dragged back to Vermont, which, we're trying to work with him on, and we're trying to work with Vermont on. And it's become a little bit difficult because things have slowed down a little bit. We'd like to wrap that in and keep him here and keep him in one place, but we're going to need some sort of assurances for them that he's going to continue cooperating, and that's what Vermont has wanted. So, in order to kind of...
I don't care about what comes out about the courier. I guess my point is, I can try and limit the information that comes out on all this other stuff, but if the details of the Conan case come out, it doesn't matter how many other details we suppress on
Sure.
the other crimes.
And that's what I'm suggesting to you.
Okay, for those that don't know or just coming in, he don't want specific details coming out on that case because one, how sick is he? One, if you didn't hear, I put out this morning that not only did he take Samantha to his house and unalive her, he froze her. Then he goes in there and he wakes his girlfriend up and his daughter. He goes on a 2-week cruise. He comes back. They know nothing about this. He comes back. He has dismembered her, by the way. And this is No, he hadn't dismembered her yet. But he comes back, he unfreezes her, he puts makeup on her, and he braids her hair like his daughter. Now, is that like he did his daughter, he said. Now, is that something he did not want his daughter to know? I don't know. He's a sick psychopath. And then he dismembers her body, trigger warning, and he takes her to this lake. That's a fact because they did find her body in the lake when he gave that information up. He takes her to the lake and he dumps her body in this lake. He dumps her there, though, while he is fishing. They ask him, did you catch any fish? He sure did. Caught fish out of the same water he put the girl in. Samantha is her name. And he took that fish home and fed the fish to his family. So is that why he's so worried about if he's unalive, which he knows he's going to be unalive at his own coward hands or theirs? He is trying so hard to control the situation and not let information out. He is sick. Just saying.
You is sort of a global settlement where there's an agreement to only go into certain details of the Coney case and the Courier case. You know, you told them about them, there's been no limitation on those. We now put limitations on those. And we put
Right, but that's what I want to make clear before we go any further on anything is to have something somewhat concrete in writing, you know, saying that that information isn't going to come out when the time comes, you know, that I do plead guilty to the Coney case or whatever happens. Whenever the next release of information to the public is, you know, whatever else we've been working on becomes null and void if all of a sudden there's this flood of information about what happened in the Coney case. And I've pled guilty to it, and then it doesn't matter.
And in return, I mean, for not introducing that information, we want information about the other murders.
I understand that. I don't, like I say, I don't care. Like all the other, anything else.
Yeah, he
doesn't matter
understands
that
everything.
What I would suggest is, I've talked to Israel about a global settlement. Let me work, let me see if we can, because I think definitely going to need counsel to understand, to know what the global settlement is. I'd like to work with them and see if we can come up with something everybody can agree to in a global settlement.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm working towards too.
But I need some time to make it.
No, and I agree. I mean, I just need to know what the demands are, and that was the first time that that's really, you know, obviously it's not in the letter, the level of detail, and, you know, I'm happy to work something out and try to get approval for what I'm suggesting. Obviously, you know, what he wants, it seems to be, I want the death penalty imposed. Now, that's a catch-22 situation, you understand, because the more information the jury or judge has, the more likely it may be that they may impose that, all right? If we take that away, it may be less likely, but that's something, hey, I've told you, I don't really care what sentence you get, gets imposed upon you. You're the one who cares about it, but I'll be upfront with you, yeah, if they don't have that level of detail, I think you probably would want to have, additional murders in there to justify the decision you want them to reach. It's sort of a quantity versus quality.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying, yeah, so they have all the numbers. That's fine. But that's the only thing they need those numbers for is the sentencing.
Yeah, no, it would only come out at the sentencing, but we'd have to get something in return. I mean, right now, yeah, we know about how many people you killed. I mean, that's pretty clear. I mean, that's not a problem. What we want is the information about those murders. And it could be, look, briefly, initially to protect your interests, to simply say, hey, I killed this person in this jurisdiction, kidnapped them from here. And, that would sort of satisfy our goals, and it would also satisfy your goals, I think, too. But
again, I think we both have to figure out what we want to get out of this. And it's possible to limit that information that's presented, I think, in a sentencing hearing. Again, I'd have to vet this up the chain, but, we can limit Courier, and we can limit Koenig in exchange for the information about the other. So,
See, this process with the death penalty on the table is a whole new thing for all of us. But
Sure.
we have handled many cooperation agreements.
Hey, Letty, good to see you.
Where the proceedings are closed, where information is not made public in order to protect, somebody who's cooperating, or in this case, protecting the family of somebody who's cooperating.
That's a good point.
And so that's something that I'd like to discuss with Israel and with
Yeah, I mean,
government. So
that's something that, is sort of the plan A of things we can do is, hope to put everything under seal and justify it by, one, safety to your family, and two, the fact that these guys are still going to be confirming the information you're providing, and they don't want anybody to interfere with that process. So some of that, again, as Mr. Kirchner said, it's, it's different than it's a death penalty, but it's, in some ways it's the same as what we always do in other types of cases involving cooperation. That stuff goes under seal.
and that's what I'd like to talk to you about.
Yeah, I just, that's why I keep saying all this is kind of tied together for me, because if certain details of the Koenig case come out, then, anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right.
That's sort of like your...
That's kind of, worst case scenario, then everything else I did before that is automatically going to be assumed just as bad. So.
It's a fair point. And the problem I'm dealing with, and I'm telling, Israel this, is the problem I'm dealing with has been, Vermont, and, they're sort of, they feel like they're unbound by any loyalty to us and what has been done for that case, because there's no, assurance that things in the
Hey,
future will be
Ruby.
done. What I'm trying to do is kind of put their charging decisions off and trying to give us some breathing room to figure out how to wrap all this stuff up rather than do it, do it in jurisdictions perhaps 3.
I still don't know how I can even make any kind of decision on this if I don't even know. First of all, you say you can't tell me what your recommendation was. I made it clear what I wanted it to be, and so you're expecting me to make a decision on everything
You say you made it
else.
clear, you didn't sign the agreement, so that wasn't exactly
I
clear.
made it verbally clear.
Yeah.
I,
Was there a reason you didn't want to sign this?
I didn't get it. I just found out the other day that the recommendation was already made, so I assume it doesn't matter if I sign it now.
Yeah, I just found out from Karen.
Oh, the games he's playing.
On Tuesday. We had a court meeting. Talked to her afterwards. That's what she told me. She had already sent in a recommendation.
Yeah, she can always sort of change your recommendation. There's
No, I'll
procedures
sign
for
it
that.
now. I was told that, it was already done. It was,
The recommendation's already in.
Do you see those games he's playing? I don't see what difference it makes if I sign it now. Oh, wait, I'll sign it now. But yeah, no, I'm not going to sign it now. He is really jerking them around. He thinks he is the smartest one in there. He does. And again, look at his body language. He is definitely thinking. And I would have done throw him away. Sign it if you want to. Don't. I'm just saying I couldn't deal with it. He is pathetic. He knows exactly what he's doing. Oh, but I want the death sentence. But I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you about where they don't, the one that in Samantha, I'll tell you all about that because they don't have the death sentence in Alaska. But we're just going to haul around in Vermont. I mean, what difference does it make? I think he don't care because he knows he's going to unalive himself anyway. but he has given them the full runaround. They don't have to do no workouts. He's giving it to them. Remember, this here interview was put into these hours, into this video for a full interview, his full interview, but it took over a month, maybe two, to get all of this information, what little information they got from him. He's a narcissist. He's a psychopath. They said sitting in that room with him, he was definitely a psychopath. People throw that word around, they said. And they said, you don't know until you're sitting in a room across from a psychopath, and he was a psychopath. Yeah, he's certainly playing head games. He certainly is. I did these heinous things, but I don't want my family to know. I don't want it out there. I want to protect them. But I'm a monster. Everybody knows I'm a monster. Thank you so much for Let Them. Thank you. Whoop, whoop, whoop. You became a YouTube member. Welcome to the Smiley Squad. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you so much for your support. Love you bunches. Love you. Love all of my Smiley Squad people. Love you so much. Let me give you this. Love you all. Love you all. That's right. That's what he's doing. He's a monster 100%. Absolutely. He knows what he's doing. No doubt.
And to me, I don't think this is valid anyway. You know our feelings about it because you complied with your agreement, your party agreement. I don't. And so
Look, the bottom line. So we already all know how this ends. So it's all I care about is what happens between now and whenever it ends. And if things don't go the way I want, I don't need you guys.
So let's just talk about it, okay? I mean, let's see if we can resolve it.
I mean,
this whole thing is just turning into...
No, I mean, I think that there is, look, the U.S. Attorney can always provide additional information to capital crimes, additional, information you'd like to provide, your attorneys would like to provide. She's made that clear in her letters. I think...
And what's with this, why do they have to go back and meet with, what did you call it? Mitigation?
Yeah, it's essentially that's going to be between you and your attorneys, but the process typically is, in the typical case, is the attorneys argue that, death penalty shouldn't be imposed.
Right, let's just nix that whole meeting.
That's
They
your
don't
between
show
you
up.
and your attorneys.
No, I'm telling you now, if they show up, then they're not authorized to be there.
Yeah, you can discuss that with them. I mean, we're required by our policies to give them an opportunity, and you an opportunity to do that. So you talk to them about what you want them to do. That's between you guys. All right. So, but I mean, to the extent that this letter, I think the U.S. Attorney would appreciate it, ratification, if you did sign this letter.
Yeah.
And I just got to put on record, this is against my advice, Israel.
We're going to go that further.
Have you read that letter?
Finally.
Just make sure.
Finally,
make
he
sure you
signed it.
understand.
Yeah, it's words on
The same one.
The same one
Have you
you've
seen that before?
Yeah.
So the date of this, just to sort of put the date on, is 7/26. I'll forward this to the U.S. attorneys as well.
yesterday, but I think these dates are pretty quick and they're, you know.
What's the first one, August 5th?
August 6th.
6th?
That's, I mean, whatever your attorneys need to tell us, I'll tell them, I'll write them back, you know, today and say, all right, here's the date that you can conference this.
And what happens next?
Then,
Like, if
then
they
it
don't,
goes to the
no,
Attorney
if they
General.
don't, if they don't show up.
Then it goes to the Attorney General for a decision.
All right.
So what you may not know is he's signing the immunity letter, but it's limited. It's a limited immunity negotiation letter. Okay. So he's talking voluntarily. He's not being forced. Okay. He states that. We know that. And he agrees that his statements can be used against him unless they reach this deal. Well, he finally signs. Okay. He understands the boundaries and whatever's going on in this interrogation. He understands it, and that he understands this negotiation. Believe you me, he's already, even though every one of them's coming there and ask him, read him his rights and ask him, do you want an attorney? And he said his attorney, because he has an attorney. He said no. But believe you me, that he has talked with his attorney. He's already had him email this letter over to his attorney. Hey, Gypsy. And his attorney has advised him, I'm sure. What he wants, he wanted no media attention. He wanted no public exposure. He wants no photos released. He wants no information about his daughter put out. Now, so far, so good on that. Which I will say, I think they changed her name. I did find out what her name is, and I will not put it out. I will not. But he don't want any leaks to the press. And so in this, temporarily, because he acted like it was going to happen yesterday, yesterday to him, he temporarily, you understand that key word? Temporarily. He wants the death penalty, but he wanted it off the table temporarily. Because he wants to control every aspect of everything that's going on. He wants to control everything. He wanted to dangle more, in my opinion, over all the families, all the victims, and what he wanted. Me. Okay? He stalled. He is just a narcissist. He's a control freak. So let's continue watching.
So are there any dates that, Rich, that?
Well, they don't need to be there.
Let me talk to other council.
Yeah, I mean,
If they don't get to be there, they don't get to be there. And they're
I'll
my
ask them
counsel
about,
after all.
yeah, I mean, I'll ask them about what the procedures are and whether, I mean, you know, maybe, you know, you do have a right to kind of a teleconference, and I just don't know what they do in these types of situations. Yeah. So that's where Coney is. You know, I would like to explore this idea again of this local settlement sooner rather than later to be able to kind of control.
Well, let me talk to him
it.
this afternoon. Come over this afternoon.
Yeah, we can talk about it, but I mean, I want to make it clear that from here on out, the Coney case gets incorporated in whatever information is exchanged.
Coney case gets, what do you mean by that?
Any information I give you is incorporate it into that, to whatever happens in the coming case.
So you'd like the global
So that I,
settlement?
so that I
Let's
have,
watch
yeah,
how
so that
his
I have
demeanor
control over
changes,
what
because he's going to
information is
change his
released in that,
demeanor.
and, you know, we
Now
can do
that
it
he's
on like a
signed that,
piecemeal basis.
his demeanor will
If you-
change.
You know, if I feel like, if I feel like things don't work out at any point, then, you know, obviously then I'm not gonna be given any more information. I just don't. Yeah, like starting this whole process with the courier, I don't even know why the courier thing has happening right now, but whatever they decide to do with it, I don't care about that. I'm more concerned about what happens with the county case. That's the one that,
That's what we
Again,
work
he's
on
more
in terms
concerned with
of-
what happened in Alaska.
It's a global settlement that includes Koenig, and, in order to get Vermont on board, I'd have to kind of,
oh, whatever they want to do.
no, I know, but I mean, you don't want to be in a situation where we solve everything else, and then Courier's still out there, correct?
No, I mean,
Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to keep them, I'll tell them when I talk to them, I'm sure I'm gonna have to talk to them this week, is that, you're considering talking to your attorneys about the idea of a global settlement, and, to give you some time to do that.
right. Yeah,
I'll see what I can do.
I don't understand, like I say, I'm sure they want to do a press release about me or whatever, but I don't understand why they're even concerned that I'm charged with it. It's not like I'm going anywhere.
No, I know, but it's a community thing for them, and I understand their position, and I'm, been staving them off all this time by telling them, look, he's cooperating on other crimes, and that's his intent. But again, me telling them that Israel's going to tell us this information about, that doesn't hold much weight.
And the other thing maybe you want to do, because I know you like time frames and setting some ground rules and stuff, and you haven't been happy with the way things have been moving. Like now, you want to set. When do you want to talk about this again? I know that Mr. Kirchner says he wants to talk to you today. When do you foresee being able to do this to expedite things so that we're not 3 weeks from now talking about the same thing again? You know what I mean? Because you're in control of that now that everybody's here. You can have, if you have some expectations, maybe you can set those out.
Well,
As far as just meeting again and discussing things.
I think we need to get this, explore this local settlement. We'll work on that. We can get that together in this.
Where the wind blows, where did you get that? Did you see that on Facebook? Because there's a reason I'm asking you about the shed burning. I don't think it did. It might have after, but again, I can't say 100%. The reason I'm asking is if you got that on Facebook. Okay, there's a Facebook group, and it had a fire of a shed or something. And if anybody comes across that and you look at that and you look real carefully at the top, they were asking a question about something, and it said the fire picture was only to get the attention of everybody. So that was not real. So I don't know. Let me see something. Let me see if I can find out. Okay, the one in Alaska, if that's the one you're talking about, no, it did not burn. There was no fire. That's what I'm finding out. It's been years ago, but unless it was after all of this, but from what I see now, there was no fire, and no shed was burned, and nothing that it's showing right now. There is a rumor out that he burned the shed, he burned the clothing, he burned gloves and stuff like that. But they say that's not true. So again, I don't know. That's just what they say. All right, hold on.
Because without that, I can see us going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think it would be certainly helpful, and not so those other things that we've been working on to encourage, but.
It was funny you asked that, though. There was a picture on Facebook I was researching last night, and it was to grab the attention. I thought the same thing.
Well, I mean, this
What I can say, at least, it sounds like, I can advise capital crimes that August 6th is sort of a workable date if his mind doesn't change.
Well, I mean, for me, my schedule, September 17th would be.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know
but
exactly.
it doesn't even have to happen. So why do we even need a date?
Yeah, I mean,
Why does there have to be mitigation? I don't understand.
there's no. I don't think
You
there's
just
any
said there
legal
doesn't
requirement.
have to be, so.
It's just a date, an opportunity. We
Right.
don't want to deprive you of that opportunity, but you
I
don't
don't
want that
even get to
opportunity.
go, so if I got to go, then yeah, let's do
I
it.
mean, it's clear, it sounds like obviously you don't want any mitigation presented in the Cohen case. Correct?
I'm not interested in any dates in the Koenig case, anything added to it that's going to complicate it. Whatever you have to do to freaking get it moved along and do it.
All right. Well, I'll talk to capital crimes and pass along your views on it, and as well as the view of you'd like to be heard on it. I don't know. Is that true?
Yeah. No, if there's some sort of mitigation that's set up, I definitely want to be part of it because that means I didn't know about it.
I don't know if there's a procedure for that. Maybe there is. I'm not sure, but I did ask them about that. Be interested in that forward, but in the meantime, I think we can explore the global settlement. And you're talking about the one initially when I wrote that letter, Rich, on July 16th, right?
Well, personally, I would make a counter proposal along those lines.
Yeah, I understand. And then I incorporated a little more concrete deals in the July 20, which you had.
The what?
The July 16th letter on the global settlement. It's
If you saw it there from TBI or from FBI or one of those, it's very possible that the shed could have caught a fire after. That is possible. Yeah, his daughter didn't seem to be, she seemed to be the only thing that was not a joke to him. He was dead set on keeping it, everything from her. It's okay. There's a lot to this. We're going to go over a lot even after this. There is so much. I was up last night till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning before I fell asleep, looking, studying. I didn't realize there was so much on this case. We all learn together, honey.
think you hadn't seen that before. I think that was written before the stuff in Vermont broke. It was, July 16th.
Well, it makes a lot more sense to do it in the Conan case than Courier case.
Yeah, that was
Boy,
written
he's
on-
fascinated with that girl Samantha in Alaska.
July 16th. So then, and then Monday they told me that the FBI was gonna stop their digging, and then that's when I wrote you the other thing on the 20th.
That may not mail it.
Yeah, you gotta check it more often. All right. Any other questions as we're all here?
Any time
He
frame
keeps
you'd like
bringing
to
that
see?
up even when they're not talking about it.
Just talk about it.
Not working.
In terms of what? Like in terms of what you were doing, or? I'm trying to figure out to make sure.
You taking him back now?
I believe she was
When he's
10.
ready.
She could have been younger, but all reports are saying 10.
You ready, Israel, to return? Go back?
Yeah, yes.
I'll be over this afternoon, right?
Give us a minute here and then get you. Are people lined up, need to take a leak or anything for me today?
No, I'm good.
In my opinion, I think he was doing it the whole time he was in the military and all. I think that's how he got everywhere to do his little drop boxes, you know, his little pill kits. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, the other ones are really old.
Sorry.
We came in, we're just gonna start by advising you, giving you the Miranda rights, and then, you have the right to remain silent, you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you say can will be used against you in a court
Look
of law,
how
you
he's
understand that?
staring her
Yes.
down.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned, you understand that?
Yes.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer,
Daniel,
you want to be
whoa,
appointed to
whoa,
represent
happy
you before
Monday.
and during any question if you wish, you understand that?
Yes.
You can decide any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements, you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Having these rights in mind, you want to talk to us today?
Yeah.
Okay. We just wanted to get that out of the way. Rich is on his way over.
Okay.
This is the email that Rich sent over yesterday.
No? All right. So he is on his way. Anything you want anything while we're waiting? He shouldn't be for a few minutes, but we can get you something
Something to eat.
No, I'm fine.
candy bar or nothing.
Done with the newspaper already?
What did you just swear off those candy bars?
Oh, no more
It's in
Snickers.
Yes.
It's in the
No
fridge.
Snickers.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna eat it. So anyhow, we'll be back out over here when
All right.
Rich gets here, all right?
By the way, those coming in,
All right.
what he told me to give to Samantha, braided her hair, put on her makeup, all the stuff, froze her, took her, dumped her in the lake, went fishing, went back, fed his family those fish out of the same lake, all those stuff. He did it all for 2 Snicker bars, coffee, and a cigar. Just saying. So I guess he just didn't want no more Snicker bars today. Yeah, he is a lowlife. He was a lowlife. He's burning. He's just burning. He's crispy right now. And I guarantee you there's people out there watching him through that camera. If there's a mirror in there, there may not be a two-way mirror there, but I guarantee you they're watching. Is he whistling? He's whistling. Is that him? Holy crap, he has no care in the world. Oh my God, don't tell me he's singing now. You're humming. Yay! Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Welcome to Smiley Squad. Love you, Ruby. Woo woo! Thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Welcome. We love our Smiley Squad over here. Love you. Welcome to Smiley Squad. I think he was reading the email they gave him. He was whistling and
Well,
Israel. Scare off my little boy, right?
How are you doing today, Israel?
All right.
Good. Hey, just before we start, I know these guys read you your rights earlier.
Yes.
Okay. And then you were just meeting privately with Rich Turner, your
Yes.
attorney. And Rich just came out and indicated that you did not want him to be present today.
Correct.
Okay. So again, I want to make sure we have those ground rules. Rich told me that you indicated that you did not want him present today. So we will take you at your word on that.
yeah,
If
she
at
looks
any time
young
you'd like
and
us to call
in one of those
back
pictures
or
like
any
Samantha, I think that's why he was
standby
kind of
counsel,
looking at her because he really
please
looked
let
her
us know.
down when she
All right.
came in that room.
We're only going to be
First time.
talking about things unrelated to the Samantha Koenig case today. You understand that?
Understood, yes.
All right, and obviously, without your attorney present in the Koenig case, we won't be able to talk about anything related to that case. And if you start to talk about it, we're going to have to stop.
All right.
You okay?
Yes.
All right. That's been sitting in the refrigerator for the.
Thank you.
Well, here's the thing. The FBI's been cleaning up the refrigerator.
Keep for 100 years or something. Yeah.
All right. So talking about other crimes, we wanted to kind of pick up where we left off on some things, give you any information that you might be thinking about over the last few weeks
Right.
related to that. And I think we had some updates on the New York search and things like that. So why don't we start there?
okay, and also the live feed, I wanted to jump into that, because I know we came over on Tuesday. We had it set up, we had a couple guys up in Tupper Lake.
Oh.
To go over the bank route, yeah, bit of
That
a
was a
drive.
3-hour drive.
Where they were at.
Yeah, in all fairness, I never set up a specific day, but it actually would have worked because my attorney didn't show up till that afternoon.
All right, well, it didn't work that
Hope
day.
you're cooking something
but
good.
We had hoped to have it set up today, since when we found it was going to work for today, but Albany had some other stuff come up. But I have to say, it was pretty cool. We tested it in the way that, just so you have an idea of what it looks like and what to expect, because we'll try to set something up for next week. But we did 2 laptops. One of them was essentially like a tracker, so you had an overhead GPS, Google
Okay.
Map kind of view.
Right.
And then the other one was the live feed actually from the camera. And then the plan, we had speakerphone, so then you can say, go right here, go left here. And our plan was just to use, because Tupper Lake's a little more remote than doing it in a city, we wanted to used Tupper Lake, and we just tackled the bank robbery because that was,
Make sure we have cell reception or wherever,
and
however
how,
they're
yeah, how
getting
it's
the
gonna be.
signal.
Because depending on where they're at, they have to use, sometimes they'll use satellite, sometimes they're gonna use different types of things.
I gotta get on it. I gotta make me some pies, some buttermilk
I
pies.
assume some of these places
Love
we're gonna go
those.
are gonna be cell phone only, so.
If
Finally
that,
living up to people's expectations. All those CSI shows.
They still can't usually get the thing solved in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Really?
it's an hour show, but
I'm picturing the Google Earth car when driving
Yeah.
around.
Right. Yeah, you guys should get one of those.
so we'd like to still do that.
Yeah.
And I don't have a day yet. I don't know a specific
There's
day.
snow there yet?
Um,
Probably is, right?
there wasn't much. I mean, it wasn't something,
East Coast.
But
Yeah.
typically, the morning works for you, right? Because that's for the 4-hour time. difference.
Yeah, when I make them, I make a lot of them. I
Yeah,
love
Just kinda
them.
wanna-
My family loves
I
them.
want to drive 3 hours again. Maybe we could just do it in Albany here. But we thought the memory lane trip down at Tupper Lake would be more interesting, maybe for both of us.
Yummy.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time in Silver Lake. I'm sure we can find our way over.
So you're thinking next week?
yeah, I don't have a specific date yet. We'll work on setting up a date next week. And we'll do it like we did this time, early enough that if you've got other stuff,
Right.
try not to
Yeah,
make a conflict with that so that we can get you back there by mid-morning even.
right.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys had, you went all out, huh? You didn't mention that when you came in.
Yeah, I did mention that. You weren't receptive.
Well, look, that's all right, it's your decision, but we just want to let you know they're going to set it up next week, and it'll be your choice whether they come over or not, but they're probably not going to they're only able to do this.
Well, we'll do it again.
Yeah. Gas is expensive. Keeping it within the budget, so,
Tupper Lake is probably still a good location now.
yeah.
And another thing was New York stuff. Show you what they took from the property in New York.
All right.
Show you that. This is the list. And some of it's pretty, kind of generic in terms of the description of what it is wrote, but I'll show you the old property.
Wow. You're going way back now.
What stuff?
Just all this stuff, anything from New York, you're going way back.
When's the last time you were there?
Well, I was there just a year or so ago, but living there, I haven't been there since.
You like stayed there and then.
You went by there
Just
in
aside
in
from
2011, though, at the earlier time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, every time I'm back there, I go by, but I mean, all the stuff that's there is, it's like childhood memories.
Did you live there for a period of time?
Yeah.
How long?
A little less than a year.
7, 8 months, in 97, I think.
Yeah. 97.
Does it look the same?
I'm surprised the roof is still there.
There's a lot of, on one side, it's missing a lot of shingles. I think which of these pictures are
Yeah, I
showing.
thought, last time I was there, I thought the roof was falling in one spot.
But there's some other pictures, and apparently the basement, I got some pictures, the basement's got quite a bit of water in it. Oh, here you can see it better.
That's the indoor swimming pool.
Yeah, you can see.
Is that high groundwater?
Yeah.
So this is the main house? Because there's a bunch of buildings. There's a few
There's like
buildings on
an
the property.
old garage and an old shed, yeah.
Okay. And then here's the indoor swimming pool. In one of these pictures, you can, maybe it's this one, or maybe it's just the angle. One of the support beams
Yeah.
is coming down, and so it's not super stable.
Surprised they were able to get down there.
That's through the window.
Oh.
Came down, put a ladder down through the window,
Okay.
and went down that way.
Yeah, those stairs.
Is that the kitchen of the main house?
There is so much I'm gonna cover on this one. So much I found just last night that I didn't even know was out there. Thank you so much.
Have there been other people staying there that you know of? Is that what all this stuff is from?
Oh, bless you, honey.
Or was that how it was when you were there?
Last time I was there, it looked like there had been hunters or campers hanging out in there.
Did you spend some time there?
Yeah.
Because there was a mattress on one of these.
Thank you so much, Kels. Happy holidays to you too, you and your family. Love you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and supporting.
What building is that?
That's the garage. Well,
Because there was no running water.
there was, yeah, there was an indoor bathroom too.
Oh, there was, okay. And then you got a third building.
Yeah.
Did you guys have animals there at one point? Not like dogs and cats, but like animals in one of these.
There were
more like
cows
a
there,
barn?
yeah.
That's what they said it looked like, it because there was some hay or straw and stuff still,
Mhm.
still around. This was a box, grab that first sheet. There's a receipt on there, you can't really see it in the picture. Alright. There was an invoice for some guns and ammo back in 1994. Do you remember what that was for?
I recognize some of the books vaguely, but it's been a while since I've been to any of that stuff.
Did you have a place up there that you go to buy guns?
No, not in New York. I never bought guns officially. I was always under the table.
Okay. We'll get the invoice, because they said the invoice was in your name in March of '94.
I had a gun on me?
That's what I thought. I thought it had a gun on it. That was my interpretation, but I'll have them send up the invoice so we can look at it. Bunch of maps. Are those yours?
Yeah.
Anything we should be
Before the
looking
days
for?
of computers.
Any X's on them anywhere or anything?
No.
We should be looking
Put
for?
X's on my map.
Highlight. Highlight.
Highlight maps. The only map you found that had highlighting on it, I didn't do highlighting.
Who did the highlighting on that one?
I don't know. I just found that map.
What about the map that when you
I
were?
think there was one in the car, I think it was highlighted.
When I was arrested, yeah. Yeah, but I didn't do the highlighting on it. That's all I'm saying. I know that's what they were thinking.
Well, it was the interstate that was highlighted, and
Right.
you don't seem to really be an interstate kind of person.
Hey, Jen. Hello, honey.
A couple other things. There's a mattress out in the woods.
I hope you're doing well.
Do you know what that was from?
No.
There were some clothes under it. There were some women's clothes under it.
Oh, I mean, you're not gonna find anything relevant on that property.
They were underneath it.
Kinky.
And then this is a photo from the fire pit area
Oh, wow.
in the house.
Yeah, y'all go sub up to Jen too. She does charts on everybody. She's done Sebastian, Summers. Y'all go sub up to Jen.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't burned anything in that pit for a long time, so. Anything that you found in there is probably from hunters or somebody who's camping there. So, I mean, there hasn't been any, I put a gate across the road. As soon as my folks moved out of that place, but it only stayed up for a year or two, and then hunters cut it down. And
What are they hunting? What's there?
Whitetail.
Was there ever a time that you burned anything of significance in that fire pit?
No, not of Grace.
Y'all, and just FYI, since they were talking about that, he skinned deers, but the problem is he skinned them while they were alive. So I don't know if any of y'all saw that or anything, but yes, he had this big thing. He was mean with animals and all those things. That is like a big sign too. But it was like, oh my God. Yes, Ruby. It was like, geez, Louise, honey.
Anything related to crimes?
Possibly, but nothing. This is all
Nothing
ancient.
like this.
Yeah, no, this is all ancient stuff. This is before I haven't really spent much time
No,
there ever since I was
this
gone.
one,
So this
they
isn't gonna
arrested
be a
him in
ring to somebody
Texas.
that we need to be worried about.
He was asking for somebody in Alaska a while ago, because he's fascinated with the last one he unalive, with Samantha in Alaska, the 18-year-old.
Have any questions about this stuff? We're gonna get all of this up here, and so once we get it up here, we can pull it out. We'll grab this stuff, just see what that is. What the invoice is,
Okay.
some of this other stuff. Okay, this is a little interesting.
Okay, so this one did take place in Alaska. So it was the field office in Alaska.
Do you know who's that belongs to?
Yeah.
We'll bring it in when we get it.
Sure.
So I think that,
You
anything
said
about
trip
this?
down memory lane.
Yeah.
There it was.
You know.
Okay, anything?
Well, they transported him back from Texas to Alaska.
I'm guessing all that stuff
Alaska
was
don't
in
have the
the
death
garage or
penalty.
something?
They kept trying to get him
It was spread out, I think the
to
box.
admit Vermont.
I don't remember where some of the other.
He's just been playing games
some of the
all
other
along.
specific stuff, but I know the box, pretty sure the box was in the garage.
Huh. Okay.
And I think, we jumped into this, quick too, so I had this stuff laid out to show you. Does this place look familiar?
Yeah.
I think we maybe even showed you these before. I don't know
No,
if
I
we did
saw
or
the
not.
ones with the guns.
Okay, yeah,
Was
these
that
were,
as they found it?
yeah. We might have pulled something away.
Just so
or-
you could see where,
Okay.
about where it was.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say, I thought I kind of camouflaged it.
yeah, that was sort of like walking up on it, you couldn't see
Okay.
it. We got a report, we got all this stuff, sent it into the lab, it's what we do with everything that we get, and, on the tray that holds the ammo in there, there's a perfect right thumbprint. Where is your keys?
Yeah, right.
No, there is. I don't have the lab report.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
So, more CSI stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I'm
found
impressed.
Samantha's
Well, I'm
credit cards, her
disappointed in myself mostly,
phone,
but
all
I'm
of it.
The lab examiner called me, I don't have the report, when I get the report, I'll show you the report, but I'm not being silly. It was on one of these two on the plastic tray inside.
Huh. Plastic tray, huh?
Like this must be the plastic, like a bottom view of it,
Yeah.
or top view of it.
Okay.
It slides into that cardboard sleeve.
Well, it was kind of in a hurry, I guess, whatever. too lazy to even dig a hole for that one. Just piled rocks on top of it.
Were you planning on going back for that?
Yeah, this summer. That would have been a good trip. I still can't get over the disappeared house in Vermont thing.
You have big plans for this summer back there?
Well, I was gonna go back there. I pictured driving up, looking everywhere for that farmhouse and not being able to find it.
To burn it down?
Yeah, that would have been funny. But whatever, you guys did that for me.
Speaking of Vermont.
Yeah, speaking of Vermont, we were talking to Vermont on Monday. And they want to know what's going on. And they are interested in filing charges as they have been all along. So-
Federal?
Yeah, they're trying to build a rapport with him,
No, I mean, we talked
Proud
about
of
the state
him.
and federal prosecutors on Monday.
but I think it's kind of backfiring on them.
We want to know what we should tell them from your perspective.
Well, it's a little hard to talk about my general overall perspective right now for obvious reasons, so.
Well, just tell us your perspective. I understand that, and we're not going to do that, but we are interested in your perspective on the Courier murders, because that's what they're interested in, right? And
For some reason, he does not want to talk about this
Cooperation
couple.
with other crimes and where that stands and whether you intend to follow through on some of that. And so that's the kind of thing, that they're looking for from us.
Well, like I've said all along, my cooperation on other crimes is dependent on what's going on with crimes that I'm already charged with. So. And I've said that all along. As far as I'm losing interest in the legal process, I guess you could say.
well, you've known, and we've been, we've talked about this quite a bit, that Vermont is willing to be patient if they think that there's forward momentum on solving other crimes, and I know that you don't care about that from the perspective.
Jen, he didn't have no certain MO, and this is why he got away with it so long. I know you wasn't in here in my first live. I'm not talking about the first part of this. I'm talking about the first live I did yesterday when I started this. That was a real good live to listen to, if I have to say so myself. But he didn't have no certain MO. He was in the military. Just a short breakdown again. I know everybody's like, oh, you keep doing that. But look, I want people to understand. He was in the military. He got an honorable discharge. He was a hard worker. He owned a construction company after that. And he had a daughter and a girlfriend and a home and everything. Nobody suspected anything of him, but he had these kill boxes or pails or whatever you want to call them, kits, and he fixed them, and he would put things he needed in them, weapons. He never used the same kind of weapon. It was just whatever tickled his fancy at that time. Okay. And he studied police. He studied how they worked. This is how he got away with a lot of it. And it's sad what he's done and for the victims, but it's a fascinating case. And they said this is one of the serial killers that'll go down in history for sure. He didn't have no preference either. It didn't matter if they were prostitutes. It didn't matter if they were male, female. It didn't matter if they were young girls. It didn't matter if it was older people. It didn't matter their gender. It didn't matter. He didn't have a preference to anything or anybody or a weapon or anything. And these kill kits that he would bury them all over the United States. And he did unalive himself in prison. And he would bury these kill packs all over the states. And sometimes he might go back, a month later. He'd have cash in them too. He'd go back maybe a month later or a year, or it could be 2 years. It didn't matter. It's just whenever he felt like it. And he would go dig them up, and then he would go hunt for his next predator. He would be a predator and get his next victim or whatever. His last one was the young girl Samantha from Alaska, and he's pure evil. If you watch this, yesterday was a whole 4 or 5 hours. It was a lot. He liked to give them the runaround, act like he was the smartest one in the room, crazy, play jokes. It's terrible the things he did, but for some reason, he's a psychopath. Hey, Choochie. But for some reason, he wants to protect his child, his daughter. He don't want the information out. He was living a double life. It's just crazy. But yeah, this is and I remember back hearing about it, but of course I wasn't into all this. Like, I just go study it and whatever, you hear it in the news and, so on. But yeah, it's wild. But there's a lot. And I stayed up to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning last night or this morning, whatever time it was, and was looking, and there's more things. Now they say, and I'm going to tell y'all again, and I spoke this, if I misspoke or said anything wrong, I said it in the beginning. I would like to correct myself, because they said that the mother of the child has never spoke. And I think there's some confusion there. From what I'm gathering, there are interviews, and I'm going to do some of those interviews, because we got the babysitter, we got his girlfriend, we got different things. But what I come to find out was it may not be the mother of the child, because I don't really know where she's at. She's protected too, but he had his girlfriend. He left the mother of his child, and he had his child in his possession or custody or whatever, however you want to say it. And they lived in Alaska, but he had took a nurse as his girlfriend. So I'm not sure that this is the mother doing the interviews. I don't think the mother is that Kimberly lady. It's wild, but just, you have to research it yourself. We're going to find out. There's a lot, and I'm going to go through it because, again, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I got to put this back on. I got to sneeze again. I don't know. I got the sneezies.
Perspective of families of other victims, but Vermont does. And so there's a way to meet in the middle by giving something that they can then have. They don't need to know the details of it, but they need to know we've gotten some details so that they can continue to hold off.
I just don't understand why, even from a legal perspective, I don't understand what the hurry is or what their issue is as to why they want to file additional charges, when I'm clearly already charged with substantial ones.
Well, in Vermont, you've got state prosecutors who right now have an unsolved, according to the public, unsolved murder of the couriers. Right? So the law enforcement is under a lot of pressure.
They get calls from the press, they're telling us every week, it's a little different. State prosecutors are elected, so I think they probably feel more of an obligation to, inform the public than, people.
Okay, honey. Thank you.
Lifetime.
Just cook on the way. Think about us.
Right. But since they called off the search for the bodies, as far as the public knows, they can't even definitively say that it was a homicide. I know they already told everybody it was.
No,
They know
don't do that.
Right, they know, so
Vermont, as you guys, let's just be a really realistic approach to it. If you're the state prosecutor in Vermont, you know, you want to come out and say, hey, here are the charges, we've got the guy, case solved. That's what you want to do.
right.
So you need to give them a reason to say, don't do that.
If you don't want her to do that. I mean, if that's the,
Well, like I say, my perspective at this point is they're asking for a reason, for me to give them a reason not to do that, and I have no reason to suspect that at this point that any information, any further information I give is going to be used or portrayed to the media in the way that I'm told it will be or won't be, just because that's the way it's played out so far. So if they're saying I guess what I'm saying is, from my perspective at this point, it's a one-way street, and initially I thought there were ways that I could manipulate this situation in this case, all the related cases, to my benefit and on my timeline by withholding information and giving information out. And obviously, over the last few months, I came to the realization that I can't do that, not realistically. So,
Is that your real reasoning?
yeah.
I think we talked about for a while, like, an idea of this whole resolution on the Courier case, being able to kind of structure that disposition around some of the demands. And, we touched upon that, and I know that, we can't talk about the other case, but,
Right.
It seems to me that, if you give us a list of demands in connection with a federal case on the couriers, that we can try to at least start meeting those demands. And at least say, to Vermont State that there's an expression of an intent to continue cooperation in exchange for these types of things.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The problem is I don't have any typical demands, or there's not anything you can offer me at this point. And I realize that now. I realize that there's more to these cases than the people who sit in this room, and we're not the ones who pull all the strings on this. I'm realistic about that now. So. And because of things that have happened over the last couple months, I just feel like there's a lot of information that I've given out to date that 2020 hindsight I wouldn't have given out, because I feel like now, no matter what I do, it's going to become public anyway. Whereas if I hadn't given it out, it wouldn't have, because
See, he didn't want anything to come public, and he's pissed off because Vermont got a
From
hold
our
of it,
perspective,
they did put it out.
we've done a lot to respect their wishes about keeping the publicity low on this case.
So they lost a
And I think
little bit
Paul,
of credibility with
you told
him.
us that, yeah, you understand that we've done that. Now, over time, as things have slowed down, we haven't learned about real crimes, then the FBI and the authorities around the country have to take certain steps. Right? I think the search warrant is an example that, they said, hey, look, give us a reason to tell their bosses why they didn't need to do a search warrant of Kimberly's house. Why they didn't need to move forward, but they didn't have any reason. So I think you can see that we can have a lot of control when we have some information from you and cooperation from you. If we don't, then we all lose control.
And even Vermont's letter that I recall, they had this letter about, all right, you provide this, and we just kind of sit back and we don't get involved. And that's the thrust of that letter. And I think what happened in Vermont after that was sort of a function of, it's we're sort of not going along with that deal. And so I think that's what ended up happening there. I understand your perspective, but at the same time, I think there is a way to structure a deal around the couriers to satisfy some of your goals. Maybe not every one of them, but we can't do that unless we sort of have an exchange for future cooperation. Here's what I want to happen on the courier case. If we have that, I think that's a little bit more concrete to them.
The only reason the courier case has even become an issue is because of me wanting to keep control of that situation before it
Again, he
became a
does not
situation.
want to talk about that
That's why
case, about
we
them
talked
couple,
about it in the
about
first
that
place.
couple.
Those loose ends, whatever you want to call it. That was my concern. As far as long-term, clearly the whole situation is going to turn into longer term than I anticipated, even from my perspective. And so my position on it at this point is you're asking for more information, and I am still waiting to see what happens with the information I've already given. So essentially, what can happen is it becomes a one-way street until I see what comes out the other end on some of these other issues.
Well, we're also looking at, from what you expressed earlier, the time frame. You all said, are we going to be sitting here a year from now? And this was going back 4 months or 5 months. So we're getting a lot closer, I think, to the year from now. Because we've also talked about the way that Vermont initially came out. We were all kind of hadn't fully prepared for what would happen in Vermont, right? You said it, we've said it. And we've learned things from how we dealt with Vermont that would not need to be repeated in other jurisdictions. So, if we have information about a victim in another jurisdiction, we can approach them without even giving them any details.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like there's been several, I don't want to say breach of trust, because I know we don't trust each other, but based on initial things that were said verbally. Nothing in writing. I know we didn't have agreements hard and fast. I just feel like, especially with the last search warrants that were executed, it was done in a way that was clearly contrary to what my initial intentions were for the way this whole thing would play out. And I hear what you're saying as far as it has to be done, but what I'm doubtful about is the motivation for doing it. Your motivation, or the FBI, whoever sanctioned that, their motivation for doing it in the way that they did it.
Well, hey, like you said, you're going to be suspicious of us, we're going to be suspicious of you, but frankly, when we've sat down in this room, everyone here is trying to play straight with you. And I think if you understand the reality of the situation, and you're a pretty reality-based guy, you understand how the world works, is, once you stop telling us significant information about other crimes, then these guys couldn't control what the rest of the FBI is going to do. And the playbook says, if you've got a serial killer, you're going to have to go through that house, right, with a fine-tooth comb. Even though they can say, hey, Israel's told us there's nothing there. Well, they're going to do it. And the only way to hold that off is to say, well, look, he's cooperating, he's giving us information. But when you stop, then there's going to be consequences. We're trying to be as reality-based about this thing. We've always given you what we thought was actually going to happen in the real world. And it's the same thing from Vermont. If we had had more information in Vermont, I think Vermont would have been a whole lot more quiet and cooperative. As it is, they've been really cooperative, right? They haven't filed any charges, but, how long can we hold on to them without another piece of information? So,
I mean, you're a reasonable person. Don't you think if, use somebody else for an example, this type of case, someone who's not cooperating and not talking with law enforcement, don't you think that if this would have been viral across the United States, every place you've ever been, don't you think that, I mean, if you hadn't been talking to us, we don't have any other choice but to try to do it on our own and use all the information that we've put together about you and your whereabouts and put it out to those communities for help. And we haven't done that because you've been talking with us. I mean,
Even the stuff we've done, I mean, you guys did, I think, a pretty good job. Even on the search warrants, there were no statements to the press that we're looking for evidence of other crimes. And, no one stood in front of a camera and did that. I mean, yeah, cameras, may have shown up, but no one said a word. And we hope to still moving forward on this.
and you only be so discreet about doing something on like a street that's 6 houses long.
Well, especially if you block it off.
Yeah, I mean, but well, we were trying to prevent people who we didn't want there to, to getting into that, but you can't stop.
I'm just saying, yeah, you've got to go by your playbook, but I refuse to accept that there weren't ways you couldn't have been more discreet or more. That's just my impression. I have nothing to go on other than what I see and my gut feeling on stuff at this point, because I feel like I get the trickle-down bullshit from all parties involved. So, that may or may not be the case, but that's just where I feel like I'm at right now.
right, we can't change your feeling, but we can, we've always come into this room trying to give you the straight scoop. And we've tried to deal with you that way because we know that you're a smart guy and you know how the world works. And what I'm sensing, what you're telling me now is you're trying to look at us as if we've been manipulating you somehow.
No, I don't think anyone in this room has been manipulating. That's not my concern right now. My concern, you're asking for more information. You talked about it going viral. If I give you any more information and it somehow gets out and it gets in the paper again, one more snippet of information could push the whole thing over the edge, and then for the time being, as many times as it's been in the paper and there's still all this speculation, it hasn't really taken off.
I feel like he's still trying to control the situation and he's still playing games. They did lose some credibility when Vermont got a hold of that he could have killed the couriers, and it even tells that in one of the documentaries. But they're still trying to build their rapport back. I don't know if it was a good idea. Some cases it's a good idea to build rapport and all that, but he really took them around the bend. There's not much more to this, but we're going to keep going.
And why do you think that is?
Well, I know it's because you haven't been giving official statements that you could, which I do appreciate that aspect of it. What I'm saying is, until I know what's going to happen with certain current issues, my big concern is that another rumor gets out. It doesn't have to come from you, just another rumor from somebody, I don't know. And then, I'm no longer in touch with all the different, I don't even know what's being said in the media or what has been said about the stories. I see little snippets here and there, but that's my concern, is that if something else were to get out, and especially in a different area or something, then and now there's the whole Nia Bay aspect of it now too. Like my kids living in Nia Bay now, and gossip is the town.
See, he's worried about his child and gossip.
That's my concern right now. Is
he did this? He did it.
It doesn't even have to be. I feel like at this point, it wouldn't even have to be something that was confirmed. It could just be a rumor. And
well, you're not going to get rumors coming out from us, and you haven't so far. The stuff that's come out is when there's been when the people outside of this room feel like that you're not being forthcoming. And we can be advocates for how we want to pursue this case, but we need something we need material, we need currency, we need something to advocate with. And that's what that's exactly what we've told you for the last 6 months or more.
Yeah, I understand that.
So,
What about, just the idea of, and I'm just thinking along the lines of what, we tell them how to just sort of stand down, even just a clue that doesn't give up anything from your perspective, but at least gives everybody something to work with behind the scenes, nothing that we, have to kind of go and publicize to the world, but a clue about, one of the past murders that it's really not going to reveal anything. So you're not playing any cards, but at least we're then going back to these guys' bosses and to Vermont and saying, look, he's given us a clue in exchange for this sort of discretion for everybody to kind of stand down, so to speak.
Well, first of all, I don't know. You already have.
Sure.
You already have a lot of clues that I don't know about. You have that computer.
So you wouldn't be giving anything away.
I'm just saying I think you have a lot of background on me at this point. I'm sure that I don't even remember at this point. So
The bosses above us, though, don't know what's on that computer. Jeff and I know what's on that computer. So let's just use Frank's example for a second. So if you were to give us a clue, they don't know, our bosses don't know what, I'm being recorded. Our bosses don't know what is on that computer. So they're not going to know.
be here next time.
So they're not going to know if we already knew that or not.
Vermont doesn't know either. They haven't seen the evidence. So you could be giving us nothing, but at least it's something we report to them.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
reported that he committed a murder in X state. Okay, yeah, big deal. It's not going to give us anything after, given the timeline that you set forward, 14 years, but at least it's some sort of sign of progress. We can go back and say, no, he's actually given us a clue and things are moving forward, and they can sort of feel good about themselves for not doing.
when you say clue, are you talking about giving you names?
No.
Or what?
Just the name, but give us the name
It was
of
a
the
state or something.
state and a time frame. Hey,
You already know some of the states.
sure, but give us something that we
Doesn't matter.
progress from where we were months ago. Is what we're looking for. I mean, Frank hadn't talked about this clue idea, but it's something that we don't. Obviously, you can tell us something we already have discussed in here. That's not a progress.
Because everybody knows what's been discussed in here, but, let's assume it's something from your perspective, you're not giving us anything, because you think, hey, we already have it, it's a clue, and it's just something that gives us credibility that we can report, even though, maybe this is just a fiction. You give us, New York, New Jersey, all right, well, you told us New Jersey. Or, something other thing that we can kind of report back that, allows us a little bit of credibility with the people that we have to deal with.
Something.
Did you find any knives in New York or in the boat? Folding knives. They're about 6 inches long.
I don't know. I think there might have been in the boat. You
think-
told
I
us
think
you
we find
thought
out
there was
the
knives in the boat, right?
I think there's a knife.
There's 2 knives that were not in Kimberly's house, and I don't know where they were. I thought they were in that bucket. I thought that they were. I may have left one in New York, or I thought there might have been one in the boat. Just knives that I had from a long time ago. But I haven't seen them in any of the pictures, so I don't.
You asked Ted or.
Yeah, I can find out about the boat. I don't think there was a knife on the boat. I don't remember a knife being in the bucket though, in the photos.
The knives are. Well, there was a folding knife. Years and years ago.
why is that knife important?
Well, it's a folding knife, so I don't know. If you took it apart, you might.
Would there be blood on the knife?
Well, there might not on it, but maybe inside.
It's in the joint or something.
Is it the kind that has the handles are actually bolted or screwed to it or something? It's not a solid piece, nothing you can disassemble it in some manner?
Yeah, it's like riveted together.
Would the blood be from a long time ago or just the knife?
No, the blood's not from a long time ago, but I haven't carried it for a while, so I couldn't remember where I left it.
Any other places where it might be?
No, I don't.
Well, it was in the photos a long time ago.
Well,
2005.
right. Yeah, I mean, they're both knives that I got before that. So.
And would those be associated with the Washington murders?
Yeah.
On those lines, while I'm waiting for Ted to respond.
That's the guy that you met with last time he was up here. He's the one who did the photo search.
From Ted, on those lines. We talked to someone out at the lab when we were talking about, when the time comes when you decide that you want to give additional information so that we're prepared on what we need to do to be able to respond quickly. We asked about, what are the chances of if there is someone that is, if there's a body at the bottom of the lake, what are the chances of that body still being intact 7 years later, that kind of thing? What are we going to be looking for, and what do we need to have in place in order to be able to find that? And one of the things that they said, which might be of interest to you, is depending on how the body was put down there, it's possible that the body is actually very intact. If the body was just tied to something and dropped it to the bottom of the lake, there's definitely still going to be long bones and that kind of stuff. You won't have finger bones and that kind of stuff. There'll be femurs and long bones and that kind of thing. If the body was contained in something, even a bag of some sort, it's very possible that the body could still be intact, depending on the depth of the lake. All of that determines the kind of equipment that we would need in order to locate the body. And so, obviously not asking for details about where and who and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the Washington bodies, were they contained in something, or were they just tied to the milk jugs? I mean, is it something where we might possibly actually still get it intact?
No.
No? Okay. And that's helpful for them to know, because that's a whole different type of search that it would have to be done in different types of equipment. Let me just try to call him. I'll step out and try to call him.
Yep.
This is not answering so much.
And do you, I guess, because I'm kind of getting a different vibe now, do you still envision in the future us working together to the point where we can get this information?
Yeah, I don't see how we're going to get anything else done. I just,
I know you're waiting for, whatever you're waiting for to find out, but
yeah.
See, they're keeping him thinking they're working together.
But,
and he loves that. He loves it.
I can definitely foresee down the road.
Look how comfortable he is.
A lot more that can be resolved.
Okay. And that's good.
By going about it in a different manner.
Okay, well, but that's good information, because we'll be able to pass that on if you're still open and you're still...
No, I haven't. My outlook on this, as far as the ultimate end result, hasn't really changed. It's just has more to do with timelines, expectations, I guess.
But and the balancing game that we're talking about doing is we're just trying to keep everybody happy the best we can, till we get to that point, and that's kind of a difficult balancing act for us.
Right. And it sounds like you're holding on to some of this stuff to trade in for something you might need later. True?
Well, yeah, because I'm not gonna have much else to.
Well, that's the thing, is, this whole clue idea, might give us a little short-term solution to kind of keep this thing moving the way we want it to move. And maybe even gets you something in the short term, if you're thinking about, like, I don't know, you come, you give a clue, and, you want lunch or something like that. I mean, that's something that can be worked out.
You need a candy bar anymore.
I know, that's what I think, I don't know if he feels guilty about it, but.
If you had a cigar, you'd probably pass out if you had a cigar right now.
But I
Get
mean,
more
the
cigar bars.
The notion of this whole idea is, hey, you come over, we keep things going, at least on a smaller scale. You're not giving up anything in terms of trading value, but you're giving us credibility with other people we have to deal with. You're not giving us any useful information really, other than, all right, well, we got, a night in Washington. It's not like we're going to solve the clue game you had, like, Professor Plum in the library type of thing. But it gives us a little
He's
bit
only,
of,
let me
stuff to
do
go
this.
back with people and buy time and buy what we need to buy. And,
See, what he's doing is he's only giving them what he thinks they can figure out on his own. That's all. That's what he's doing. He's giving them what he thinks they're smart enough to figure out on their own. He thinks he's the smartest one in the room. He's still playing games with them, even though that paper is signed. Just saying.
in the short term, you have short-term needs that you think, might be fun to have sushi. That's something that, can be arranged. We're not talking about, huge clues here.
What did you guys find in the boat? Was there anything left?
I thought we went over 10 when we went over that.
I saw the list.
There was no knife. Oh, you mean in terms of the lab?
Yeah.
It has not, everything has not gone to, finished up at DNA yet. So it's possible that there were still, there were some areas that did test positive for blood, just when they do like they call it a presumptive test, when the people that were searching it. So those things went into the lab, and some of those things were like the screws from holding the carpeting in and that kind of thing. Those have not come back yet from DNA. The little, there were some little fragments that they thought might have been bone fragment, was not bone, did not test positive for bone. That one's come back.
Sand or something.
Yeah, they didn't, we didn't ask what it was, but it wasn't bone.
Right.
There's some hair that is not yours. But the way they figure out hair.
I was mostly curious if they found any blood.
Yeah,
I
there
just
was.
wasn't sure how long, because it's been sitting there in the rain for so long. I was curious if there was. I mean, I know there was when I parked it. But whatever.
Yeah, there was. We haven't heard anything back about it, and then they need something to compare it with.
Right.
So there's no knife?
No knife. There was no knife in the boat.
It may have been. I don't know what happened to that night. It was a Tonto, cold steel Tonto.
How big? Like, was it
It had a. It was a 4.5 inch folding blade. And I think I bought it at Walmart. 4.5.
Do you remember what color the handle was?
It looks very similar to the one that I had on me when I was arrested. Just a different blade style. Same company and everything, I think.
So if I'm correct about that, that was the murder weapon for one of the Washington murders.
Well, it was involved.
It was involved.
I think we talked about before, was when we were asking about federal jurisdiction about guns.
Yeah.
Were either of those victims shot? No. Strangled?
We'll get the whole story eventually.
Right, we're just gonna get parts so that we can move.
No, the only person I ever shot was Bill Courier.
Everybody else is trying to.
Yeah.
Or, I don't want to have the wrong impression, you know, so everybody else was strangled or was there something else?
Oh, one of the Washington things there was doesn't matter. It's just no, it wasn't strangling. I hit somebody in the head. So.
Did you mean to kill them or they died? Was there a struggle and you hit them and they died, or did you mean to kill them that way?
No, I wasn't trying to kill him. I just took him out of action.
I think we read that in one of those letters with the male and the female couple.
Yeah. I saw it. I don't know. Rich mentioned that they gave you all that stuff. So, I should have asked them to give me copies so I know which ones you have.
We could go over that together and you could fill in the blanks at some point in time.
Well, we know in
I
Washington.
didn't realize they were allowed to take stuff out of my shoulder. I wasn't naming. That was a pretty big mistake on that.
Where does he think he's at?
Well, we know
I
we
tell
have
myself,
a
take things
couple
out of
in
myself.
Washington State, and male, female.
He don't. He acts like he's supposed to get all the special treatment in the world.
For the
Anybody
same couple
else
from the-
would not have put up with him this long.
Or are there others?
They went in that hole.
No.
Yeah. They were buried. Yeah, that was a while ago.
That was a long time ago. Right after the is that right after the military? You told me it was right after the military. After you got out of the military.
It was before I got the boat.
And you had told us one time that, you know, it wasn't long when you got out of the military that you killed somebody, and it was that sort of feeling that you needed to do something that was hard to resist.
Yeah, New Base in Boytown.
Is it fair to say that we're looking at a lot more around the Washington area than not? Just the two in Washington?
No, there's a couple. There's a couple in Washington, and then the two related to the boat. Is that right?
Yeah.
So if we can't find this knife, I guess unfortunately that doesn't give us much to go on.
I know we had some knives. I don't know what all we had.
I got some from Kimberly's.
But is it possible it was at Kimberly's?
I don't think so. I haven't seen it for several years.
Could be in a different Washington cache.
No.
The one you talked about?
husband and wife? Do you know?
I'm not gonna talk about this.
What about other caches, like another cache?
Well, the other caches aren't related to any, I mean, that one in New York was the only one directly related to the murder as far as I know. The guns, some of the guns were stolen.
Well, that would give us something to go on if there was a cache that they could go and retrieve. That would keep, I think that would keep the FBI busy.
Yeah. I'll have to think about which ones I'm willing to part with.
That's right.
If you thought
It all still belongs to me.
have a candy bar. If you thought of one that you wanted to give up, that maybe we might be able to work something out with our video.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, that's another issue, is there, the others I can't find just with satellite now, so
We'd have
I
to
can
do
give you
that.
general areas.
Yeah. Well, if you gave them a general area, they could probably get some.
We just have to have enough information to get a hold of, the tech person.
That covers that area.
Right.
So again, it would be a cache, it's not related to anything, so you're really not giving up any of your cards to trade with.
Well, that's the issue, they're all related to stuff, they're just, yeah, I just have to think about it.
Well,
You want to try and remember what's in.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of interesting for you too. You'll get to see what's in there and you'll get to see them again.
Yeah, and then it'll be like one of those oh shit moments. You dig it up and I see what's in there.
Israel, there's been too many oceans.
Yeah, well, I've had enough, I've had my share for the year.
Well, this is just the way. Well, why don't you, if you were able to do that, I think that's going to buy us, and give everybody something to do, and people like to have something to do. If they can be digging up a cache, and then you'll get to see how the video works, and you'll get to see what's in there.
How long does a body last in a freshwater lake? I mean, 'cause there's no critters that eat
It depends how.
bodies.
He's asking them how long a body lasts
Depends on deep.
in the water. What the frick?
And it's not critters, it can be like
Bacteria.
Organism.
They were talking
So if
about
the water is below, say, 45 degrees all the time.
I would think that would be good. And I think you said they up to 80 feet at one point in time. You told us.
No, there's one that's even a lot deeper than
What, 200 feet?
So we should like get a submarine.
Or deeper. Deeper than 200 feet.
that. You guys know about Lake Crescent in Washington?
How deep is it?
I think that lake is 500 to 700 feet deep. They've
Really?
never been to the bottom of it. There's people who have gone off that lake, and they still haven't, their cars are,
And that's the lake.
that's one of the lakes.
So this is really deep. So this thing is never going to be able to recover.
Well, it's
Man,
over
submarine.
200 feet.
You said 500 feet.
That's
the
the
lake.
deepest part, but I'm
Oh.
saying, I don't know how deep it was. I know the general area, and I had a fish finder, but it didn't register how deep it was. I just know it was over. 100
Maxed out
feet.
at 100 feet.
Oh, is that your fish finder goes to
I
100?
think, I don't remember, I just know, if you've been to the lake, you would see what I'm talking about. It drops down like a V, so. depending
But
on
you
how-
didn't go to the 500 foot place as far as.
No, I wasn't, I was near the edge, but, 30 feet out from the bank on that lake, it drops down to 50, 60 feet already, and I was, so, anyway.
The lab was talking about a case recently, actually, where they recovered a car that had been submerged in water. I don't know how deep it was even in, but it was a relatively cold lake, and because it had been submerged and water still got in, but critters and others weren't able to get in the car. And that was in the 40s, in the 1940s, and part of their body was still intact because the person was protected by the car. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. But there will definitely even if there wasn't skin or things like that, long bones can be recovered. It'll just be missing small bones.
Yeah, I know they tend to move around.
But if there's other specifics in terms of things that you know of depths and temperatures and that kind of stuff, you can certainly make some phone calls and find out what.
Well, I figured you would have guessed that, like, that was pretty obvious. But, I always have been curious as to what it looked like. I would think as deep as that lake is, it's probably sitting there just exactly as it was when it first touched down. It could be. I know most freshwater lakes that deep, there aren't even that many fish that go down that deep.
But that one's not in anything, it's just ropes or something hold it.
Is that the milk jugs that you said?
Well, that's what the weights were.
Milk jugs, how many milk jugs? Is it gonna move around?
No.
How many milk jugs are you talking about?
At least 4 or 5, I would think.
Just for one bottle?
Yeah.
Well, what about a cache that they can work on for next week?
Well, the easiest would be Washington. So I don't know my way around there a little better.
The agents are ready.
But I have to, I'll have to think about it.
I'm trying to remember what's in it.
Do you want them to line it up? That's the thing, we can't make the decision that day because they won't have time to, they won't have time to line it up.
You think about it over the
live
weekend.
feed.
Yeah. But you think about it over the weekend or something?
Yeah.
And if there's anything you want, like,
Could you give me like an hour on the internet, maybe? Before.
He wanted an hour on the internet. He's trying to still negotiate, y'all.
I've been an info blackout for too long.
He said he's been in total blackout too
you
long.
think about that, and if there's anything you want short-term in terms of.
I was joking, I wouldn't do that anyway.
No, I'm not talking about the internet, I'm talking about, like, yeah, if you want some sort of, all right, I'm gonna do this, but, you know.
You wouldn't do that on the internet if we set a computer down here?
Oh, because I know you're just going to go right to everywhere I went.
I wouldn't do that to you.
No.
But yeah, no, anything, you know, to kind of satisfy any short-term goals you have, even if it's just food or coffee or, you know, whatever. Obviously, it's coffee anyway, but, you know, again, it's sort of a situation where I think you're not giving up anything, but giving us help with wherever we need to persuade.
Right.
I think it, you know.
No, I can see I see your point of view, I do, on this, but at the same time, I have my own frustrations right now as well, so.
Mm-hmm.
But even, like, this is productive, this will be viewed as productive, you know, I mean, you said you came over, we got stuff, and so.
It's only productive from a non-prosecuting attorney's point of view.
It's productive for us.
Well, it's already got me on enough stuff, it's okay. It's okay. I'm
You know,
not getting out on bail anytime
You keep thinking that I'm not trying to work with you, I am, but from my perspective, you know, Israel said he's gonna do a lot of things in a short time frame, and we've been sitting here
Yeah,
clicking months away, and
believe me, I'm aware of the months clicking. I'm just, having an appreciation for things being done at a different speed, that's all.
So let me just make sure I'm clear on the cache. Do you have a general area now that you can give us, or do you want to think about it?
Washington, right?
But I mean, even when there's
The two
it's a big
districts.
state, and we have offices in a bunch of places, so we have to figure out which office we're working with.
Within 50 or 100 miles of.
Is there anything close to Mia Bay, or Up
Well,
in that
yeah,
area?
yeah, not near Neon Bay, but in
That area? Okay.
As you said,
Outside of Seattle, between Seattle and
Yeah.
Bay.
Right. You already met those agents already, so it's not like
Yes,
you're
we
bringing
can
new
arrange with
people.
them.
Did I see that top picture?
There's more pictures from this too, I didn't grab them all. I can print them all out and have them for you next time. I know there were a couple, blood and gum parts and pieces, but I don't feel any notes in this one. So, okay, I can grab a bunch of the pictures, that's nice. Okay, so, do you want me to try to set that up for next week? I don't know, I'm obviously not gonna know a day until.
From Port Angeles there.
Somewhere.
Port Angeles.
Yeah, I don't set up a time yet. I gotta try and remember.
Once you get the computer, you can look right now if you want.
Where-
Is that gonna help
An
you?
area?
On Google.
Google, you can look at Google right now if you want.
Well, you know the area, right?
I know the area. I'm trying to remember what's in it.
He's trying to remember what he has in.
That's probably not gonna be on Google.
No.
We can try that together, we'll just open it up and do like Al Capone's vaults.
It's not that impressive. It's just, I'm more concerned about the little stuff that might be in it. Well. Things you never thought you'd be talking about. And then on the Tupper Lake thing, you had agents up there with the cameras, but you just wanted to talk about the bank robbery, or were you?
Well, what we had set up was, we just had them at the bank robbery parking lot to show you the live feed that we could do.
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
We didn't have any expectations, but we thought the natural progression, because of
Right.
what we've been talking, would be in that general area, so we wanted to get things moving there.
Right.
You know, and if you wanted to just like pull out of the parking lot and then take us to the river bend, that's all the better.
Well,
But,
yeah, I was just,
You would be driving.
yeah, it would be like you'd be driving. So, because we thought maybe that's how it's going to have to be eventually, maybe, is that you might have to be in the driver's seat, so to speak, to see, you know, landmarks or whatever you need to see.
yeah.
It's almost as good as being out.
I'd like to tell you we were going to drive you to the dig site, and we were going to show you what we were doing, but
I'm having a harder time remembering roads than Port Angeles when I wasn't. I'm sure I can figure it out.
you need that computer for an hour or two to refresh your.
No, I just haven't been this road. All right, well,
So we won't set it up, we'll just
We'll get them working on it though, because
get their
it's-
tech,
Yeah, the tech geeky guy has to
their geek
get
squad.
the camera and get everything all kind of set up.
right.
So we will get that moving, and then we can touch base with you at the beginning of next week. And have a better idea of what your schedule is going to be like, and figure out when everything, and I'll know at that point what their schedule is going to be, then we can maybe figure out some time that will work.
Yeah, we might be We might be able to have another meeting next week. Might have apparently that was the issue today.
All right, what we may do then, Jeff and I may come by the jail and just figure out that piece that we were just talking about the timing, and then we can go from there.
In the meantime, I'm supposed to talk to them on tomorrow, and I'll just tell them that, there's a little bit going on. We'll use other clues and use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I don't really understand the role of Vermont.
It's frustrating from our perspective as well.
I mean, hypothetically, if they charged me federally, would they indict me up here, or would they? I just don't understand, considering everything else that's going on, why they would, or how, I guess not why, but how it would work. I don't know, like the logistics of it.
Well, like I said, they want to be able to facade that crime solved.
Right, they want to put my name on it, I
That's right.
understand that. It's not going to be officially solved till.
There goes his head back to the
But,
side.
they want to be able to put your name to it.
Right,
And,
I understand that.
And then the question is how that, going to work. Do they want to file charges there? And, that's what we're looking at.
And it's a lot easier for them just to stomach it if they, their forbearance is giving rise to clues to other murders, whatever those clues might be. I think that is able to accomplish our goal.
I understand their perspective, I
Yeah.
guess, but and from my perspective, though, even if they were to officially charge me at this point, it's not like it would be real breaking news anyway.
I think, in some ways it would be, because no law enforcement person has ever confirmed that you're
Right.
attached to that, so.
It would just be confirmation of everyone's current speculation.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. So I'm not interested in it from that point. I was just interested in it from a logistics point. I mean, do they have to fly me to Vermont if they're going to charge me, or will I do it here?
Those are some of the questions.
We're hoping not to get there.
Oh, they gonna find him, because he's gonna stay locked up.
They just got snow here again. We talked to them Monday, it just snowed, they told us.
They got more snow than us then.
Yeah.
Got a quota for last year.
Any other questions? No?
I'm going to visit up
You
and
gotta take a leak or anything for me? Taking that? You're not gonna eat this?
No, I'm good, thank you.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, y'all. That was November 29th. You seen that last part of that interview. It was dated and time stamped November 29th. He killed himself December 1st. One thing Israel Keys did not want to do is spend his life in prison. And he was going to make sure at all costs that that did not happen. And he didn't. He didn't. So Keys was locked inside a cell, cell D, I guess number 20. And he was at the Anchorage Correctional Complex. And it was a small room. It had concrete walls, a steel bunk, and no camera pointed direct at the bed. And that's exactly how he wanted it. He wanted it exactly like that. Let me move this. He wanted it exactly like that, okay? And he had gave off during that entire interview many signs. But in those final hours, Israel Keys, he wasn't pacing. He was not anxious. He was probably just like you saw him here, to be honest with you. He was very calm. He was focused, methodical. Isn't that what they said? Methodical. You know, they do have watches there, and they do watch, and they do check. Officers go around, they check the doors. They have to. They have to check the doors. They have to make sure they're locked. They have to do their rounds. They have to write reports every so often. It's not just as easy as you think. They have to write down everything. But right down to Israel's last breath, he was calm. He gave no indication of anything. So he used two methods. But because he wasn't taking any chance, he wanted to go. He wanted to leave this world, right? He broke apart this disposable razor that he had, and it's the kind that inmates use, and they use it under supervision. Again, I don't know how he got it or he got to keep it. Sometimes that slips through, and maybe it was purposely. I don't know. But the point was he had it, and he slit both of his wrists, and he slit them deep, vertical, right? Up and down. He dragged the same blade across his own neck after he did that. He wanted to double make sure he was not alive. He crawled under his bunk where guards couldn't see him during their routine checks, and then he clogged the drain with toilet paper so the blood wouldn't leak into the hallway and alert the staff. He wanted to bleed out. He planned his own death the same way he planned his crimes, quietly, calmly, and he was in total control. The next morning, during check, a correctional officer walked the hall along the rounds. They looked through the cell window, and something felt off, and they didn't see Keys moving or in there or anything. The blanket on the bed was untouched. He never slept in it. There was no breathing, no shifting, no sound, no nothing. The officer, he called for backup. They unlocked the door. They stepped inside, and that's when they saw him. That's how they found Israel Keys. He was lying under his bunk, face down, surrounded by massive blood surrounding his body, and the razor blade was beside him. And he had a suicide note. His suicide note was stained with his own blood, and that was nearby. And it was no sign, of course, of struggle. This was his own doings. There was no attempts to call for help. He didn't want help. He died exactly the way he lived, in secret. Everything was in secret. They contacted the sergeant on duty. They contacted the medical staff. They contacted the Alaska State Troopers, the FBI. They contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office, And then, last but not least, they contacted his family. Later, officials contacted his mother and his sister. His daughter's identity was protected, but family was legally informed. Investigators photographed the cell, the bedding, the note. They collected all of it, the razor blade, all the things, the paper, the drain that was blocked, the smears, the splatter. They did all that. I really feel for them. I feel for the guards. I feel for the COs. And I feel for the families of the victims who this coward took his own life. That's who I feel for. And here's the part that stays with me personally. The FBI said that when they realized he was dead, that the entire task force felt the room go cold. I mean, really, wow. Not because they lost him. I don't think they could give a shit less if they lost him. But because countless families, victims' families, lost their only chance at answers. He took those answers with him. Israel Keys didn't just end his life. He shut the door on the truth. He took it with him. He took answers with him. And he blocked them out of ever finding any answers. So I appreciate y'all being here with me. We're going to go back over some interviews from people that knew him. Yeah, he left on his terms after all. It was his way or no way. It was his way or the highway. That's exactly what it was. It was about him, him, him. And so there is a whole lot more to this case. We're going to go over it. I'm going to come back on here at some point tonight, and we're going to start with some of the interviews. I don't know which one we're going to start at first, to be honest with you. But there are interviews. There are people who knew him. And just to get a feel of what kind of person he was, we know he was a psychopathic monster. But wow, just wow. My prayers and my heart still go out to this all of these families, and the ones with no answers, Samantha's family, everybody, even his family, his daughter. My God, I can't imagine what she's got to go through in her life. No matter how much they sealed out the records, like I said yesterday, no matter what, his daughter's going to want to know, and his daughter will find out if she hasn't found out already. There will be bits and pieces through her life, and it's going to be terrifying. So, yeah, he left on his terms. He did it his way. He absolutely did it his way. Hey, Deanna. So I thank you for being here. I will be back in a little bit, and we will go over an interview or two or something, because there's a lot more. Thank you. Thank you to my mods. Thank you for everybody. Thank you for your support. Thank you for new members. Thank you for anybody in the bushes. Please hit that thumbs up. I love you, and I will see you on the streets. YouTube streets, that is. See you later. Bye.